Chapter 1470. Earthly Sovereign, Human Sovereign, North Sovereign, Beast Sovereign, Hongyu, Liju, and Hongquan. In a single day, 7 monarchs had fallen. The sky was dark and boundless, and the 3 realms trembled violently. Of the 9 heavens in the 3 realms, 3 had already been destroyed, and now 3 more were destroyed. Only 3 remained. The sea roared, the catacombs shook, and the human world shook. In the sea, some of the small islands were completely destroyed. The tsunami struck. On Earth, volcanoes were erupting and earthquakes were frequent. A large number of martial artists were mobilized to suppress the natural disasters. There was still order on Earth, but there was no order in the catacombs anymore. In the sea, the Chu Wu continent was also trembling violently. Large numbers of sea demons had gone berserk. They could no longer survive in the sea, so they had no choice but to slaughter their way into the continent to find a place to live. Turbulence, chaos. Too many experts had died. Today was like the end of the world. With the fall of the Catacombs Emperor, there was no one to suppress the previously invading Misery Sea, which quickly rushed to the outer realm. Doomsday had arrived. This time, even the Celestial Arch was powerless to interfere. The human sovereign was dead, the earthly sovereign was dead, and so many sovereigns were dead, the Tao fruit had either self-detonated or been taken away by someone else. The earthly emperor's Tao fruit was used by Feng Ping, the human emperor's Tao fruit was used by the heavenly king, and the beast emperor's Tao fruit was used by the god Forging. However, the self-destruction of the North Emperor and the Earthly Emperor had caused even greater damage and cracks to appear in the origin ground. Feng Ping had even stolen a large amount of energy from the source land, origin. At this moment, a crack appeared in the sky. It was not a rift, but a door. Behind the rift, Wang Jinyang was already waiting for them. Feng Ping and the others wanted to leave through the door. Only through the door could he take away the Tao fruit. Feng Ping did not care, but if the heavenly king, subduing king, and the god creation envoy wanted to leave, they had to take away the Tao fruit. A group of people tore through the air and ran towards the crack. Feng Ping guarded the 4 directions, worried that Dong Huang and the rest would be cut off at this moment. But at this moment, the source of origin was extremely quiet. In the 36 layers of heaven, Emperor of Heaven Reverse and Emperor God did not stop him. Not only did they not do anything, but they also closed the 36 layers of heaven again. As for the wandering Dong Huang, he did not make a move. At this moment, Dong Huang floated in the sky, hidden within the darkness. Looking at these people who were rushing up into the sky, his face let out a deep smile. His smile was baffling. There were still a few people who didn't leave. Qin Fengqing, the heavenly dog, the book fragrance, and the dragon transformation couldn't leave. The Tao fruit's crack hadn't been filled yet, so they couldn't leave even if they wanted to. At that moment, a sorrowful voice was heard. "Count me in. Big shots of the human race, count me in." At some unknown point, Emperor, she had entered the Essence Land. Up in the 8th heaven, Emperor, she appeared to have taken his Tao fruit. His face was filled with bitterness, pity, grief, and sorrow. In any case, his expression was incomparably complicated. He wanted to chase after them, but he was also afraid of being killed. But if he didn't chase, he wouldn't have the chance to escape. "Big bosses, can you bring me along?" The Western Emperor was so lowly. The lowly Emperor of the West began to pretend to be pitiful. "If I leave, the Source Land will lose the power of a Tao fruit. How wonderful! The Celestial Emperor will definitely cry. If I don't leave, he'll kill me and use my Tao fruit to make up for another heaven. Take me with you." Emperor Shi's voice was mournful. In the sky, Feng Ping swept a cold glance at him. At this moment, Emperor Shi could guess what he wanted to do. "No, kill me and make up for these guys?" He pointed to Book Fragrance and the others who had gathered over there and said, pitifully, "It's too late. It takes time to kill me, but if this passageway is maintained for a while, those guys will definitely come and Wang Jinyang will be finished. Big bosses, take me with you." My son is still in your hands. If I don't obey, then kill my son and threaten me. I'll definitely obey. Was this still human speech? At this moment, only the celestial pole was not here. Otherwise, he would have cursed Emperor Shi to his ancestors. Was he still human? This was not the way to sell one's son. Of course, Emperor Shi did not care. Look, how did the earthly emperor sell his son? He sold 3 at once. How miserable! He only sold 1. What was the big deal? Fang Ping's expression changed, and he growled, "Hurry up, go!" Buzz. As soon as he finished speaking, Emperor Shi shot out. His speed was so fast that it was surprising. This old guy was riveting his strength and sprinting madly in that direction. Time to run. Today was a good day. Regardless of whether the others died or not, he could run. How great! He could even run away with the Dao fruit. He had earned big. 36 levels of heaven. At this moment, Celestial Emperor arrived. This was still not his real body, but this time he had spent a lot of energy and even used his own divine weapon. This avatar was so powerful that its aura shook the entire heaven and earth. Do you have to do this? 2 people stood in his way. They would not let him go. Celestial Emperor looked calm, but his voice was cold. These 2 had completely fallen out with him this time. They would rather let Fang Ping and the others go than let him go. Emperor God said, "Let them go. The world is big. It's the same no matter where we go. What's the rush?" Emperor Heaven reverse laughed. The source is in turmoil. Many levels of heaven are broken today. Celestial Emperor, I think you should suppress the source. If we fight now, it will be more difficult to suppress the source when more levels of heaven are broken. This is too troublesome. Celestial Emperor looked at the 2 and said coldly, "Let them go." What do you think they can do? Even if Fang Ping has a second source, he has no energy source, and the power of the source is limited. Can he defeat me? Emperor God chuckled. Just watch. It's just a game. Why so serious? Celestial Emperor said nothing more. He looked at Dong Huang, who was walking toward them. His eyes were cold. No one knew what he was thinking. Dong Huang looked calm and collected. He cupped his fists at them and said with a smile, "Today I have witnessed Hong's prowess. This guy has done so many things in the past 10,000 years. How unexpected." Then he added with a smile, "You 3, we are not as good as the juniors." At this moment, the remaining 4 people were the oldest batch of beginner martial artists. In the 3 realms, there were only a few beginner martial artists in the first batch. Among the overlords in the past, apart from the 4 of them, there were Sun God and Underworld God, who was slightly weaker. As for Sky Arm, he was also very old, but he was weaker back then. As for the other beginner martial artist, he broke through 8 illusions and advanced later. To them, Earthly Sovereign and Zhan were indeed young, but there were only a few of them left. Celestial Emperor glanced at the tunnel that was starting to close up. He was no longer in a hurry. He said lightly, "How? You have been hiding all these years and waiting. Is there still no result?" Dong Huang said with a smile, "I am not as good as you guys. Why would I expect anything? I am just muddling through and living a peaceful life. Whether it is in the Source Land or the 3 realms, there is not much difference. It is just a bigger cage." He did not seem to want to leave and was too lazy to leave. The Source Land was a cage, but the outside world was not? Yes, in the outside world it was just a little bigger. Dong Huang said and sighed. In the end, the creator should be the creator. He should not be a ruler or an intelligent life. This is a headache. Dong Huang shook his head. It is fine if it is normal. Unfortunately, the 3 realms has fallen into the hands of the seeds. There is really nothing to say. They only want the world to be in chaos. How can there be peace? Celestial Emperor said indifferently, "What do you want to say?" Dong Huang said with a smile, "Nothing. I just think that Hong might not be wrong. If it is really impossible, it might be more interesting to destroy this world and perish together with that guy." As he spoke, he looked at the 3 of them and chuckled. But the three of you don't necessarily want to die. I'm afraid that old Yang God doesn't want to die either. That's why this world is so frustrating, isn't it? The four most powerful ones did not want to die. What else could they say? This world could not be destroyed. Hong was in despair. He could not destroy this world, so he gave up in the end. He pinned his hope on Fong Ping. It was an insignificant hope. Could Fong Ping really destroy the world? Earthly Emperor was not sure, but he would rather give it a try. Either way, he would not be able to do it. Dong Huang did not continue this topic. He looked at the sky and said with a smile, "Celestial Emperor, the source is about to mature. But I think Fong Ping and the others are going out to exterminate the spirits and break the source." Celestial Emperor's expression changed. The next moment he said, coldly, "Then today we will break the barrier of the three realms. When the three realms are united, I will be the master of the source. Let's see if Fong Ping dares to break it." Celestial Emperor said in a low voice, "When the three realms are united, the source will be shaken. Brother Tian, it is already so shaken, but you can still unite. Your strength. I think the crack has been repaired, or is the seed still helping to suppress it?" Celestial Emperor was the biggest crack in the source. 70% of his strength had been restrained. Of course, this was what he said before. When the three realms were united, heaven and earth shook, the origin universe arrived, the 9 levels of heaven were broken, and the source was shaken at this time. The source must be at its most stable to break the barrier of the three realms. But now, Celestial Emperor was going to break the barrier of the three realms and guard the source. Clearly, he could suppress the source. Celestial Emperor said in a low voice. Celestial Emperor also laughed. Celestial Emperor did not mind. They were just pretending to be confused. At this point, who did not know who was who? Right now, the source was riddled with holes. It was not the time to break the barrier, but he had to do it. Otherwise, once Fong Ping and the others left, they would attack the source. By then, Spirit Emperor would not be able to stop Fong Ping. Celestial Emperor suddenly disappeared. At this moment, the entire world was shaking violently. The sky was falling. The moment Fong Ping and the others came out, the sky was falling. It was really falling. Heaven and earth were falling apart. Black cracks crisscrossed between heaven and earth. Seeing this, old Zhang's expression changed slightly. He shouted quickly, "Hurry, suppress earth! Suppress earth! For departments and 4 prefectures. Suppress everywhere, hurry! Fong Ping, Heavenly King Zhen, go and help!" Old Zhang's shouts resounded across earth. The place where they appeared was earth. At this moment, the entire world was shaking. In the sky, a universe was descending. That was the origin universe. From all directions, there seemed to be the sound of a tsunami. That was the roar of the bitter sea. The 3 realms were becoming one. Heavenly King Jin and the others immediately understood. The 3 realms were becoming one. The 3 realms becoming one. From then on, there would be no 9 levels of heaven, the origin universe, and the real universe. In the sky, huge stars appeared one after another. Those were the stars of the origin. On this day, the stars in the sky were much more real. They were no longer the reflections of the stars of the past. The sun was the light of the source of the celestial source. The stars were the powerhouses, stars of the source that were reflected to the human world. When martial artists reached rank 9, they all had the existence of the stars of the source. It could be big or small, far or near. In the past, everyone could not sense their own origin very clearly. However, today those rank 9 martial artists could sense some things and the existence of the stars of the source. In the sky, there was a star that belonged to them. However, in the next moment, a large number of stars crashed. It was like the end of the world. A fallen star represented the death of a powerhouse. At this moment, it was chaos. It was not the human world that was in chaos, but the catacombs. Li Zhu was dead. Hong Yu was dead. Earthly Emperor was dead. The bitter sea was devouring the catacombs. At this moment, the three huge continents began to connect and collide with each other. The catacombs, the human world, beginner martial arts. At this moment, the three continents, following the shattering of the boundary walls, began to merge together. At this moment, the human world and the catacombs collided immediately. Magic City. Fan Ping stood in front of the original Magic City passageway. At this moment, the passageway had completely disappeared. The celestial realm wall had shattered. In the sea near Magic City, at this moment, an incomparably huge continent appeared. The catacombs. The entire earth began to squeeze and merge. In the past, the huge sea began to be squeezed. Part of the sea turned into a large inland lake. Part of the sea was occupied by foreign continents. Another part of the sea began to be occupied by the bitter sea. The roaring sound of the waves rumbled, impacting the entire three realms. Among the three huge continents, Earth was the smallest. The catacombs was the largest, followed by Chua mainland. They began to squeeze together. Such an impact, other than top-notch powerhouses, even desperate realm powerhouses, could not suppress it. They could not withstand such a collision force of the continents. The people of Earth were panicking, but the powerhouses of Earth were all there. At this moment, following the outburst of old John and the others' aura, the projection, and the help of a large number of martial artists, the people from all sides gathered and evacuated. It was still considered peaceful. However, over at the catacombs, it was crazy. The few powerhouses like the monster emperors did not have the heart to care about them. The power to destroy the world drove countless martial artists crazy. Some are killing, some are crying, some are fleeing. However, the bitter sea surrounded them in all directions. Where could they run? In the past, they could not wait to invade the human world. However, now that the continents were in contact, there were a lot of human emperors. How would they dare to come into contact with the human world? Projections of powerhouses were projected on all three continents. Over at Chu, it was relatively quiet. The most chaotic place was the catacombs. At this moment, the heavenly king powerhouses of Chu were also unleashing their aura to suppress the Chu mainland. A large number of heavenly king powerhouses were resisting the demons who had no choice but to flee to the shore. As for the catacombs, those heavenly kings were suppressing the chaos, but most of their energy was focused on the humans. They were about to border with the humans. From now on, there would be no more barriers. In the past, the humans were afraid of the world wall shattering. Today, they were the ones who were afraid. Part of Mount Imperial Sea had been destroyed previously. At this moment, most of Mount Imperial Sea was still intact. Several top-notch powerhouses were currently gathered at Mount Imperial Sea. The monster emperors King Feng, King Qian, King Zhen in the past, powerhouses were as numerous as clouds. Now there were fewer and fewer. They looked at the human continent not far away with solemn expressions. A large number of martial artist armies began to gather. Obviously, after the three continents converged, there would definitely be chaos. The fleeing catacombs martial artists, the fleeing catacomb citizens, and the panicking demons would all cause a war between the three continents to erupt at any time. However, the catacombs really could not fight against all sides now. Not to mention the humans, they could not even defeat the Chuo. These were not the most important. More importantly, the three realms were united. The emperors of the origin could also descend. Yes, the emperors could descend. Of course, they would still be restricted by the origin, but it would not be as troublesome as before. They did not need to pass through the origin universe to descend. They could descend directly. After today, a war between emperors might erupt at any time. Moreover, it would not be like before, unable to affect the three realms. Instead, it would erupt within the three realms. If today's war erupted in the three realms, perhaps only 1/10 of the entire three realms would survive. That powerful self-detonation was enough to destroy the entire continent, restrict everyone. At this moment, on the distant Chu mainland, the underworld god rose into the sky. His figure was incomparably huge, illuminating the entire Chu mainland. He roared, "The three realms are united, the continents are colliding. No one is allowed to leave this place. No one is allowed to attack the human world. Anyone who disobeys will be killed without mercy." Even if they died where they were, these people were not allowed to attack the human world. As emperors fell one after another, who did not know how powerful the human world was, the underworld god was afraid that those people would panic and clash with the humans, leading to the outbreak of a war. When that happened, it would probably be the end of Chu. At this moment, he could not afford to be careless or soft-hearted. There was no such order in the catacombs. At this moment, only 1/10 of the people in the outer domain were left. In the inner domain, the natural moat of Mount Imperial Sea was still there. Other than the absolute peak, no one else could cross it. Did the absolute peak need restrictions? If you were not afraid of death, you could try attacking the human world. As for those who were left in the outer domain, they could not care about them. The moment the continents collided, perhaps everyone would die. There was no need to care about these. The collision of the three realms was not the most dangerous. At this moment, the world was filled with cracks, spatial fissures. The Sea of Bitterness was attacking the three continents. These were the most dangerous. The water of the Sea of Bitterness could be instantly melted by those below the Golden Body Realm. As for the spatial fissures, as the 9 heavens shattered, there were even fissures that could cut through 9 powerhouses. These were the most dangerous. That was not all. At this moment, the origin universe turned into a starry sky. In the starry sky, that dark place was also the most dangerous. That was where the origin was. On this day, everyone could see the origin. Just above the immortal origin, behind the sun, there was darkness. Stars adorned the three realms. At this moment, all living beings in the three realms could see the sun and also some huge stars. The stars and the sun were together. The radiance of the immortal origin could no longer cover the light of these stars. Powerhouses who did not enter the origin could see the stars of the origin. And powerhouses who entered the origin, who were also emperors, actually had the existence of the stars of the origin. However, they were all formed from Tao fruits and were blocked by the origin. Outsiders could not see them clearly. At this moment, the brightest star in the three realms was not the immortal origin, but the star of King Marshall. He entered the origin. At this moment, an incomparably huge star hung in the sky. However, it quickly disappeared. King Marshall did not want his star to be attacked. Fang Ping did not suppress the turbulence, nor did he care about the catacombs and Chu Wu. At this moment, he was looking at the immortal origin in the sky, looking at the origin above the immortal origin. The origin was like a big black cake, decorating the immortal origin in the middle. The immortal origin and the origin were connected. The celestial emperor personally suppressed the immortal origin. At this moment, the celestial emperor could walk out of the origin at any time and attack the human world. Of course, when they walked out of the origin, their strength would still be slightly suppressed. The immortal origin was even more resplendent. It seemed like it could be plucked at any time. This was a sign that the immortal origin was about to mature. Maturing actually meant that the empty area around the origin could be sealed. Not only that, at this moment, the broken paths did not seem as wide as before. The celestial emperor's voice suddenly sounded, spreading throughout the three realms. From today onwards, martial artists who break 8 can prove their Tao, cross the broken path, and break through to become emperors. The day of becoming an emperor had arrived, and this was not the end, just the beginning. In the next moment, an even more shocking voice was heard. Breaking 8 in the origin, killing Chu Wu. Breaking 8, broken path self-repair. Chu Wu breaks 8. Killing origin breaks 8, stars fall. Absorb the power of origin. Prove your Tao. Break 9. These 2 sentences made the powerhouses of the Chu Wu continent and the catacombs tremble at the same time. Massacre, This indicated that the massacre had begun. Chu Wu kills Origin. Hope to break 9. Origin kills Chu Wu. Hope to prove your Tao. Origin, do you want to prove your Tao? If you did not prove your Tao, you would always have the strength and soon die in the chaos of war. If you proved your Tao, even if the Origin was a cage, it would be safer than now. Now, what was safer was that North Emperor and the others were dead. The Divine Emperor and the others might not think highly of these newly promoted emperors. At this time, it was much safer than before. On the ground, Fong Ping sneered. Massacre? Kill Chu Wu? Killed those who had obtained the power of the seeds back then, such as Sky Arm and the Underworld God. As for the Origin, these broken paths had been controlled, so it could make the immortal Origin mature faster. If the Origin died, it would not lose anything. If it was alive, it could kill a few Chu Wu breakers, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Fong Ping looked at the sky and did not say anything. At this time, he was no match for the Celestial Emperor. However, if the Celestial Emperor walked out of the Origin, would he dare? Was he not afraid that if he walked out, the Divine Emperor and the others would rebel? He was afraid. Therefore, at this moment, the Divine Emperor and the others were fighting, restraining the Celestial Emperor. Fong Ping was actually also restraining the Celestial Emperor. The Celestial Emperor was in the most difficult situation at this time, not to mention that the Sun God was still in the human world. Although the Sun God was playing with the seeds, who knew if he would appear in the 3 realms at any time. Although the Celestial Emperor said that it was time to prove his Tao. However, at this time, no one chose to start a war. The emperors were watching. They did not dare to move, afraid of attracting the attention of the emperors and killing, especially the Chu Wu side. They had reached an agreement with the human race before, so the monster emperor and the others did not dare to act recklessly at this time. And the Chu Wu powerhouses did not dare to act recklessly at this time. The Celestial Emperor and the others might not help the Chu Wu. The probability of helping the Origin was higher. Under each of their scruples, all parties did not move. The 3 mainlands were all busy and turbulent. As for Fong Ping, he sat alone in the void, becoming the boundary between heaven and earth, motionless, as if he was ready to kill the emperors at any time. Chapter 14:71. A deafening rumble was heard. Cries of pain, roars of anger. Roars, the 3 continents collided. At this moment, a large number of ordinary people died. A large number of martial artists died. There were also deaths in the human world. It was rare, but there were still some. The violent collision caused the earth to crack and various natural disasters to erupt. Even if the humans had already made arrangements and countless martial artists were rescuing, they still could not stop it completely. However, compared to the other 2 places, it was much better. At this moment, how many powerhouses in new martial arts and the catacombs were willing to rescue those ordinary people? The drastic changes in the Battle of Doctrine and the unification of the 3 realms had long left them with no time to care. There were many heavenly kings in new martial arts. They could still take care of 1 or 2. The situation in the catacombs was really tragic. Fong Ping opened his eyes and saw the seawater engulfing the catacombs. He saw the demons attacking the catacombs. He saw the outbreak of natural disasters, taking away countless lives. He was very cold. He had never thought of helping. The humans had the ability to help. Even if they could not save everyone, they could still stop those huge disasters. However, Fong Ping did not mention it. They were his enemies, and he did not care about their lives. Moreover, he was not a kind person. His kindness was only towards those who were kind to him. Fong Ping continued to close his eyes. Until this moment, his origin world had not finished expanding. It was still continuing. After a long time, Fong Ping's body trembled slightly. The expansion had finally stopped. This time, the system seemed to be calculating the data. The conversion to data was a little slow. After a while, this artifact began to operate and fed back the data to Fong Ping. In fact, without looking at the data, Fong Ping knew how much he had improved this time. The earthly emperor's family. Fang Ping really did not know what to say. It was them who forced the humans to fight. It was them who forced Fang Ping to improve. It was them who, at the last moment, pinned all their hopes on Fang Ping. Revenge, break the cage, and destroy this despairing three realms. Vitality, 95 million calories mentality. 650,000 hertz jade bones. 99% with vitality qualitative change, origin world. 98,500 meters combat techniques. Chaos vanquishing saber techniques plus 20% strength control. 100% plus 20%. It had become much, much stronger. Vitality had increased from 40 million to 95 million directly. It had more than doubled. The increase in mental power was slightly less, but it was still terrifyingly powerful. 650,000 hertz. Fang Ping, on the other hand, frowned slightly. He was thinking, was it enough? Was the power of the three emperors enough for him to convert? How much power was left? Not being able to convert it into origin power was actually a great loss. Fang Ping could not care less about leaving some energy for Old Wang and the other two. Right now, improving himself was the best choice for him. Very soon, Fang Ping began the conversion. The system's main body, the invisible little ball, also started to tremble. The power it provided seemed to be intermittent. Clearly, the power of the three emperors was about to run out. Fang Ping did not know if he could recharge it. He hoped that he could find a way. This still depended on the God crafting envoy. Fortunately, he brought the God crafting envoy back this time. Only the God creation envoy had the hope of finding a way to charge this kind of divine tool. The next moment, Fang Ping completed the conversion. As for the main body of the system, it felt like it was running out of energy storage at this moment. Fang Ping sighed. The next time he leveled up, it might be difficult to convert. His current strength might be his limit. Vitality, 0, 80 million calories. Mentality, 0, 800,000 hertz. Origin force, 8,000 original, 160 million calories. Vitality. Jade bones, 99% vitality qualitative change source world. 98500 meters combat technique. Chaos vanquishing saber technique, plus 20% strength control. 100% plus 20% maximum vitality. 224 million. Fang Ping's gaze was a little strange. Strong, too strong. At this moment, he felt that he was terrifyingly powerful. It actually exceeded 200 million calories. He suddenly felt that he could rival the Celestial Emperor and the Sun God now. The Sun God and the Celestial Emperor's strength had probably reached this level. The Divine Emperor and the Celestial Emperor should be slightly weaker. They might be close to 200 million, but there was a high probability that they had not reached 200 million. Did this not mean that the current him had hope of dealing with the Celestial Emperor? Fang Ping looked at the sky. He did not expect that his source world would expand so much after the earthly emperor's family integrated into his own source world. It had directly reached more than 90,000 meters, close to 100,000 meters. According to his past experience, 100,000 meters might be another world. More than 220 million calories. Fang Ping adapted to his strength, adapted to the strength of his physical body. He looked at the sky and frowned slightly. He should have reached their level, right? The earthly emperor's family had really brought him too much transformation and strengthening. The strengthening surprised Fang Ping. He had actually broken through the 200 million mark. This was the symbol of the Sun God and the Celestial Emperor. Fang Ping looked at the sky. After a while, his eyes suddenly flickered, and he looked at his own source world. The expansion of his source world would make his strength stronger. In fact, the strength of his body had a lot to do with the source world. But now, Fang Ping found something strange. His source world seemed to be a little unstable. It seemed like it could not support his more than 200 million calories combat strength. When the war broke out, he might have such powerful strength for a short time. However, the source would be like the previous Tao. Maybe it would collapse. Emperor Tao. At this moment, Fang Ping suddenly understood. Emperor Tao. This world was not stable. He still lacked Emperor Tao. Previously, Emperor did not cultivate Emperor Tao purely, and the Tao fruit was mainly absorbed by suppressing Heavenly King. Fang Ping only intercepted some of the strength. In this way, this world was actually not stable. More than 200 million calories, combat strength, was mostly provided by this source world. Fang Ping was actually another celestial emperor. Of course, the source of his source world's energy was not bestowed by the seed. Instead, it was what Fang Ping had intercepted and stolen from the current source world, including what the earthly sovereign's family had stolen. In this world, Fang Ping was also a dominator like the celestial emperor. Fang Ping's heart stirred slightly. My origin can't support an outburst of more than 200 million combat strength. Celestial Darch had waited for so many years and never dealt with Cheong and the others. Perhaps it was because the origin was not perfect enough. The Demon Emperor Tao fruit had not condensed, and the Heaven, Earth, and Human Emperor Tao fruits were not authentic enough. Even if his source of power is sufficient and his combat power is over 200 million, there's a high chance that he will not be able to fight for long, just like me. On the other hand, he might be able to last longer in the origin. If that's the case, no wonder he invited old Zhang to corroborate his Tao. No wonder he hoped that the Tao tree could corroborate his Tao. Fang Ping could more or less understand Celestial Emperor's state now. Very strong, at least not weaker than him. However, the Celestial Darch was the same as him. His origin was not stable enough. Fang Ping was the same. If they fought for a long time, the origin world would collapse and their combat strength would decline rapidly. As for the Divine Emperor and Do, they might know this drawback. That was why the two of them did not leave the Source world. They were certain that it was safer in the Source world. The Celestial Emperor would not dare to attack them in the Source world. The instability of the Source world was most likely related to the Sun God. This guy swallowed a lot of power and left, causing the Source world to become more unstable. Otherwise, with the scale and quantity of the first Source world, even if it was not stable, it should be stronger than Fang Ping's world. However, the Celestial Emperor was not powerful to the point of being terrifying. This meant that the current first Source world was not as stable as his second Source world. It was not an exaggeration to say that it was riddled with holes. A source that is riddled with holes like this can actually allow the Celestial Emperor to reach this point and even support the Divine Emperor and the others. This is truly terrifying. A source world that was almost in ruins could support so many powerhouses without collapsing. It was simply terrifying. The immortal source is to repair the source world. Fang Ping looked at the sun. At this time, he completely understood. The goal of the immortal source was to repair the source world, to repair the places that were riddled with holes by the sun god. It was also to seal the source world. Seal the source world. Fang Ping was slightly shocked. He had sealed the source world. His strength had a 20% bonus. What about the Celestial Emperor? What if he had sealed the source world? Would there be an additional 20% bonus? I definitely will. Therefore, as long as the immortal source is formed and the source world is sealed, he can instantly increase the power outburst by more than 40 million calories. He can then kill the Divine Emperor and the Celestial Emperor successfully. Therefore, the Celestial Emperor has been waiting. Otherwise, to deal with the Divine Emperor and the Celestial Emperor, he may break the source world himself. The current Celestial Emperor cannot crush both of them. Fang Ping completely understood. He understood that the Celestial Emperor was waiting for an opportunity, waiting for the bonus of strength. For a powerhouse like the Celestial Emperor, an instant increase of more than 40 million calories was too terrifying. In addition, the source world was more stable. He could fight for a long time without fear of breaking the source world. This kind of Celestial Emperor was in his strongest state. Fang Ping understood. He and the Celestial Emperor were now in an unstable state. On the other hand, the Sun God, Fang Ping, gritted his teeth. Sun God's combat strength might not be as good as his and the Celestial Emperor's, but this old guy, his combat strength could last forever. He did not need the Source World to be stable. If that was the case after a long battle, the Sun God might be the strongest. The Celestial Emperor wants to seal the Source World. First, he wants to use the immortal source to repair those areas that have been sucked dry by the Sun God. Second, he wants to cut off the three emperors' Tao. Fang Ping calculated in his heart. Sooner or later, the Celestial Emperor would attack the three emperors. This was for sure. Otherwise, he could not complete the increase in strength. A good plan to seal the Source World, but it is riddled with holes and full of loopholes, Fang Ping sneered. It was not that the Celestial Emperor was incompetent. It was not that he was useless. The key was that there were too many troublemakers. Zhan was causing trouble. Earthly Sovereign was causing trouble. The Divine Emperor and the Celestial Emperor were also causing trouble. The key was still the Sun God. This Sun God guy suddenly rushed over and sucked the Source World into a pavilion. This was the most unfortunate thing for the Celestial Emperor. Yes, from a sphere, sucked into a pavilion. This was the Sun God's masterpiece. It caused the Celestial Emperor to have no choice but to build the Sanjiao Gate and create the immortal source. In the end, the three emperors cultivated by the Divine Emperor and the others pierced 3 holes. Could he not fail? Fang Ping shook his head. The Celestial Emperor was considered unlucky. Otherwise, if the Sun God had not absorbed so much energy that the powerhouses of the 3 realms were trapped, they would have died today. The 3 realms would not be like this a long time ago. Fang Ping suddenly laughed. He suddenly sympathized with the Celestial Emperor. A good revenge plan ended up in a mess. He was just 1 step away from success. However, it was this step that was messed up by the Sun God. The Celestial Emperor had no choice but to tear down the east wall to repair the west wall, leaving opportunities for others again and again to cause trouble. The Sun God said that he is the savior. It's not wrong. Fang Ping laughed. Otherwise, how powerful would the Celestial Emperor be if he succeeded at that time? His strength would increase, the Source World would be sealed, and his combat strength would be stable. It was even possible for him to reach 300 million calories. Who could contend with such a Celestial Emperor? 1 wrong step leads to many wrong steps. Fang Ping was a little amused. In the end, the Celestial Emperor might even want to chase the Emperor God and the others away. But these few might have sensed that something was wrong and refused to leave. Yes, this was the attitude the Emperor God and the others gave Fang Ping. They would not leave. They did not plan to leave the Source World at all. If they left, it would be even more dangerous. After laughing for a while, Fang Ping could not laugh anymore. He was very powerful. However, he was now, like the Celestial Emperor, falling into a vicious cycle. Fighting a prolonged battle would cause his Source World to be riddled with holes and even collapse. The Celestial Emperor was using the immortal source to make up for it. Moreover, his Source World was very powerful and more stable. What about himself? Did he have to look for old Zhang and let him make up for it? Combat strength can't last long. When dealing with people like the Celestial Emperor, how can we not fight fiercely? Once our Source World collapses, we'll be sending ourselves to death. Fang Ping sighed and looked at old Zhang, who was commanding the martial artists to suppress the disaster in the distance. Could it be that old Zhang really had to die to help him? This was not a problem of Tao severing. Li Zhu and the others had burned their Tao fruits and themselves to succeed. Old Zhang might also have to sacrifice himself to perfect the Emperor's path. If I tell him, he'll probably do it, so I can't tell him about this yet. Fang Ping shook his head slightly. He could not say it. If he did, old Zhang might really do it. His death would make up for Fang Ping's Source World, allowing Fang Ping to have the ability to fight against the Celestial Emperor and the others. Old Zhang would definitely be happy. However, Fong Ping had fought until today to protect these people. If these people died, what was the point of fighting? This is troublesome. Fong Ping felt that it was troublesome, very troublesome. If his combat strength could not last long, so what if he had more than 200 million cal? He did not have to be so strong to kill the weak. If he could not kill the powerhouses in a short time, he would be in big trouble. Now he was in the same situation as the Celestial Emperor, really caught in a struggle. Meow. At this moment, behind him a cat meowed. It looked at Fong Ping curiously, its claws knocking on Fong Ping's head. Fong Ping laughed. Why are you here? Meow. Liar. The cat's fat face was full of a strange expression. I think a cat is going to appear in your house. Huh. A trash can cat. The cat continued to knock his head, muttering, There's no one now. If there are more people and lives, a trash can will appear in your small world. Otherwise, it will be like this source world. Fong Ping frowned slightly and glanced at the cat. Trash can. This was the cat's favorite thing to say recently. Fong Ping suddenly realized that if the Celestial Emperor really wanted to seal the source world, he would definitely capture this cat and bring it back. Not for anything else, but to let this cat absorb and integrate some of the source world's injuries. This was the purpose of the cat's existence. The cat seemed to understand. It squatted beside Fong Ping, raised its head, looked at Fong Ping and muttered, Liar, why don't you not have a cat in your house? How about I become a trash can for you? Fong Ping's gaze moved slightly, looking at the cat. The cat said dejectedly, I can go back to that source world and become a trash can, or I can go back to this source world and become a trash can. But in that place, the Celestial Emperor is bad and bad. He definitely won't give me anything delicious to eat. Why don't I become a trash can here, liar? You can give me something delicious to eat, Fong Ping frowned. You can absorb all the filth of the source world? I guess I can. The cat was also not sure, muttering, I can try. Fong Ping patted the big cat's head, chuckling. It's not that serious. Even if you really come to my source world and become a trash can, you can still be free and unfettered. I know where the problem with the Celestial Emperor's source world is. Sun God and the others made a mess, causing all kinds of loopholes in the source world. If my side is more stable, it won't be like that. If you really come here, then just eat and sleep and eat, just like for the past tens of thousands of years, helping to suppress the small black mud swamp. At this moment, Fong Ping knew more about the source world. If the cat could really absorb these things, it would not produce too much when it came to his side. Because his source world, although small, was relatively much more stable and complete. Of course, the premise was that the Emperor path was included. Otherwise, it would be worse than the Celestial Emperor, and it would be more troublesome. If that was the case, even if the cat came, it would not have to suppress the source world forever. It would be fine as long as it was in its current state. Fong Ping did not refuse, because he was thinking about a problem. The problem that the earthly sovereign said. If he could move the human race into the source world, his own source world, and cut off the connection with the seed, then the seed's spiritual intelligence would dissipate, and the human race would be safe. Cut off. Fong Ping fell into deep thought. Could it be done? Could it cut off the connection between the seed and the human race? His source world, including himself, essentially the power still came from the seed. Could it really cut off the seed? The earthly sovereign said that he was special, coming from the inside of the seed, and not considered a person of the three realms. But he was also born from the seed. Would he not provide wisdom to the seed if he was alive? Also, the world inside the seed also had a large number of human beings living in it. Sometimes Fong Ping wondered if the seed could not destroy its wisdom at all. Even if the three realms were destroyed, as long as the world was not destroyed, wouldn't the seed still have wisdom? Unless there was something different. Only the human race of the three realms could provide the seed with spiritual intelligence. Different place, Fong Ping fell into deep thought. since the earthly sovereign and the rest knew that the seed had an inner world. Why did they believe that he could destroy the seed's wisdom? These people were not stupid. That world and the people in this world are actually the same. Back then, someone told me that it could only be considered a projected world. A projected world. Fang Ping muttered to himself. A projected world. Yes, that inner world could only be considered a projected world of the three realms. That was why he could walk out of the seed's world and merge with himself in this world. Could it be that that world is actually considered a kind of illusion and not a real world? Fang Ping murmured. Was that so? Otherwise, it did not make sense that John and the earthly sovereign both knew that the seed had an inner world, yet they still chose to do so. Perhaps the seed could only create one world? When the three realms were destroyed, the inner world could only be turned from illusion to reality. Then what am I? Fang Ping shook his head. Then what was he? Was he detached from the outside world? Or was it that he had not detached from the outside world? Perhaps in the end he had to destroy himself to make the seed's wisdom disappear? It's a complicated question, but now I don't have to think about this. Fang Ping exhaled. Now he did not have to think about this. The key was still Celestial Emperor and the rest. If he did not deal with these people, it would be meaningless to think about it. The immortal source was about to mature. Celestial Emperor was urging those people to prove their Tao. This was just the beginning. Next, he would definitely force them to prove their Tao, make them perfect their Tao, perfect the immortal source, and then break the immortal source to repair the source. Big cat! Fang Ping suddenly glanced at the cat and laughed. Are you a demon? I don't think so. The cat looked at him strangely. Why are you looking at me? Are you a creature of the three realms? The earthly sovereign said to destroy the human race. Fang Ping felt that to destroy the seed's wisdom, he might have to destroy all the creatures of the three realms, not just the human race. The cat blinked. I don't know. I'm a cat. Am I not a creature? Fang Ping laughed. Maybe you really don't count. Fang Ping murmured. Maybe you're the only creature in the three realms that is not a creature. Patting the cat's head, Fang Ping laughed. If one day I die, you go and eat the seed. Eat it into your cat world and fill the black swamp, okay? The cat blinked its big eyes and looked at Fang Ping, as if it understood what he meant. Lying beside Fang Ping, the cat did not say a word, its tail sweeping Fang Ping's cheek. I know, you're very smart. You know what I mean. If that day really comes, you'll do it. Haven't you never eaten the seed before? Follow me. I'll let you have a taste of meat. You can eat the seed too. Fang Ping laughed. Eat the seed. What a great dream. You will have the chance to realize it. Meow. A cat's cry with some sadness sounded. The cat did not reply. Was the three realms really going to be destroyed? The liar had already prepared himself for this. He seemed to be dissatisfied with the current three realms. If the three realms were destroyed, the seed would be destroyed. Would the cat eat the seed and create a new three realms? At that time, would there still be liars? The cat lay on its stomach, wagging its tail, sweeping Fang Ping. Why was the three realms so heartless? As for Fang Ping, he looked at the sky again and chuckled softly. He hoped that he could isolate the seed. If that was the case, perhaps he did not need to die. Could he hide in the new world and let the cat eat the seed? Of course, the premise was that he had to kill Celestial Emperor and the others, a group of annoying fellows. The three realms had been turned into a mess by these people. He hated this group of old antiques. Only when the source is stable can we hope to kill Celestial Emperor, Fang Ping murmured and fell into deep thought. How should I choose? P.S. Promote a book. Great Ming's Outstanding Youth. Look at the saber in my hand. Am I outstanding? Chapter 1472. The rumbling sounds continued. The three continents collided and merged. The source universe descended, and ninth heaven shattered. This scene was like the creation of the world. The Three Realms was restoring the ecology of the ancient times. Of course, compared to the ancient times, there was something more in the sky now. The source universe, which did not exist in the ancient times. Beginner Martial World had changed. In midair, after a while, old Zhang and the others arrived. Looking at Fang Ping, who was not far away, old Zhang glanced at King, subduing with a complicated gaze. Now many emperors had died, and the remaining were top-notch powerhouses, true invincible powerhouses. Even King, subduing, could not help Fang Ping much at this moment. The pressure was shifted to Fang Ping once again. Old Zhang felt very guilty and helpless. He did not expect Fang Ping to walk so fast and so far. He originally thought that he could play a big role after breaking through 9, and his combat strength began to approach 100 million. But now it seemed that it was still not enough. Old Devil Zhen, if you, me, and the others join forces, can we deal with the Emperor God and the others? Hearing this, King Subduing was a little helpless and said telepathically, I'm afraid it's still not enough to deal with the Emperor God and the others, but I have some confidence in dealing with Emperor Donghuang. They had a lot of people, and King Subduing's combat strength was also over 100 million. In addition to King Wu, God Creation, Tengu Cat Scholar, if they roped in dragon form, and Qin Fengqing, who is still in the origin, it might be a little difficult to deal with the Emperor God, but they still had some confidence in dealing with Emperor Donghuang. Before this, no one had actually considered this point, and no one had thought of dealing with the Emperor God and the others. Because the 9 emperors were all alive, there were too many people, and everyone wanted to kill as many as they could. But now North Emperor and the others were all dead, and there were only a few left. Dealing with the Emperor God and the others had actually exceeded their expectations. Zhang Tao did not say anything else, and quickly appeared beside Fang Ping. Fang Ping opened his eyes and looked at them, smiling. Done. Done. Old Zhang chuckled. It's not a big deal. At this point, would these guys dare to provoke us? Our enemies are only those few in the sky, and the others are nothing to worry about. However, Beginner Martial and the Catacombs might start a war, and some conflicts have broken out between these two sides. After all, Beginner Martial has cooperated with us. Do you think we should make a move? Beginner! Fang Ping cast his gaze toward another mainland that had begun to merge with the human world. Over there, waves of heavenly king coercion rose, stabilizing the mainland and calming the hearts of the people. Both sides did not dare to provoke humans, but there was not much fear between the Catacombs and Beginner Martial artists. Fang Ping watched for a while and said calmly, Don't bother. Let them fight. Weaken the strength of both sides and let some of the troublemakers die. Otherwise, it will be difficult to discipline them. Old Zhang raised his eyebrows slightly. Fang Ping smiled and said, Since the 3 continents have merged, of course they have to be unified. Don't tell me they still want to have a tripartite system? Those who should be killed were killed, those who should be pacified were pacified, and those who should be subdued could also be subdued. There are billions of people on both sides. Are we really going to kill them all? Fang Ping continued, Of course, these people might not be able to live for long. Fang Ping's tone was a little chilly. Once the war starts, our people won't even be enough to protect the humans, let alone them. When the time comes, how many of them survive or die will depend on their luck. It all depended on luck. If they really fought against the Celestial Arch and the others, who would go out of their way to control themselves, the 3 realms were bound to be affected. There were many human powerhouses. They could still protect 1 or 2 people. The other 2 continents could only depend on their own luck. If they were unlucky, they would all be annihilated. If they were lucky, there might be quite a number of people who could survive. Fang Ping did not think there was anything wrong with it. He could not possibly let the human powerhouses go and protect others instead of protecting their own people. When old Zhang heard this, he did not say anything else. He could not even care about himself. Naturally, he could not care about others. Heavenly King Suppressing looked at Fang Ping and raised his eyebrows slightly. He said with some uncertainty, Is what Hong and the rest did effective? Has your source world really separated from the source ground? Yes, it's separated from the source ground, but separated from the source ground did not mean that it's separated from the seed world. Fan Ping had no way to test this. Heavenly King Suppressing saw him nod and said with some emotion, "Hung, this guy has really exceeded my expectations." As he said that, Heavenly King Suppressing continued, "Now Celestial Emperor is waiting for the immortal source to mature." He frowned slightly, looking at the big sun in the sky. He felt a little awkward and a little uncomfortable. Now all the schemes were laid out in the open. Celestial Emperor was waiting for the immortal source to mature. Very soon, very soon. Heavenly King Suppressing knew what kind of state the immortal source was in. He sighed softly and said, "Now that the three realms are one, it is easier to comprehend the origin. The origin is right in front of us. Even if everyone does not cultivate, the rich energy of the three realms and the clear sense of Tao can also let people quickly step into rank 9 and enter the origin. When more people enter rank 9, this immortal source will mature. The source universe directly descended into the three realms. The source ground was right in front of them. It could be said that even if everyone did not cultivate now, they would still make rapid progress." Fan Ping was silent. Old Zhang hesitated for a moment and asked, "Can sending people to your source world cut off the connection with the immortal source?" If it could, then it would be simple. Fan Ping shook his head slightly. No, he could not do it. These people's Tao was connected to the immortal source and related to the source ground. Even if they entered their own source world, even if his source world cut off the source ground, it still could not cut off their Tao. This was what Fan Ping was having a headache about. Old Zhang frowned slightly and said, "Can it? In that case, your source world is still unable to cut off the entire three realms. In that case, your source world is actually not completely independent." Fan Ping said nothing. Old Zhang said again, "Is there a flaw in your source ground?" "It's not too bad. No, there should be a flaw. Otherwise, I think it might be possible to cut it off." Old Zhang said faintly, "Is it because the Emperor path is not complete?" Fan Ping frowned and looked up at him. "The formation of the source ground is more complicated than you think. Do you think that if you sacrifice yourself, my source ground will be complete? Aren't you overestimating yourself?" Old Zhang smiled and nodded. "Don't worry. I won't act recklessly without full confidence." He raised his head and glanced at the sun, then at the surroundings. There were people constantly stepping into a higher realm. Suddenly he chuckled softly. The whole world is almost at a high martial arts level. Everyone was becoming stronger. The source and the three realms were one. There was no shortage of energy. At this moment, a large number of martial artists were beginning to advance. A large number of ordinary people had stepped onto the path of martial artists. It was an exaggeration to say that the whole world was a high rank. But now, the number of high-ranked martial artists was probably more than 10 million. This number was still increasing. If this went on, the immortal source would mature very quickly. Old Zhang sighed softly. "I want everyone to stop cultivating, but they can't not cultivate either. If they don't cultivate, the environment of the three realms is not suitable for survival at all. The gravity has increased. Space cracks are everywhere. Energy has exploded. It has even begun to compress the entire three realms. If they don't cultivate, everyone can't even breathe. They can't even survive. They have no choice but to cultivate to resist the pressure and the sea of suffering. But if they cultivate and become stronger, the immortal source will mature even faster, another dead end. If you don't cultivate, it will be difficult for you to even survive. If you cultivate, the immortal source will mature faster and faster." Old Zhang looked at the sky again and chuckled. "I asked the god, Forging Envoy, when the Tao on the immortal source exceeds 1,000,000, the immortal source may be completely mature. 1,000,000 people will step into rank 9. Now, the human rank 9 martial artists are probably more than 100,000. Old Zhang's eyes were faint. He looked around. In the void, many Dao appeared. Many rank 8 martial artists quickly stepped into rank 9. Old Zhang did not stop them. He had no way to stop them. The Dao was right in front of them. Just like Fang Ping and the others back then, the Dao was tempting them to step into it. Not everyone could resist this temptation, like Fang Ping and Old Manly. Many people could not help but step into the Dao of origin directly. There was no way to stop them. Moreover, if they did not break through here, it would be the same in the catacombs. Not only that, there were actually quite a lot of people who cultivated the Dao of origin. They were also stepping into the Dao of origin. If the humans did not break through here, they would break through sooner or later. The immortal source would mature sooner or later. And now, on the 3 continents, the human rank 9 martial artists were not the most. There were more in the catacombs. They had many martial artists to begin with. Back then, there were thousands of rank 9 martial artists in the outer domain. There were tens of thousands of rank 9 martial artists in the inner domain. In the past few years, as cultivation became easier, although the human world had obtained greater convenience, the catacombs also had such convenience. Now there were more rank 9 martial artists in the catacombs because there were many demons, especially the bitter sea demons. Back then, the lowest among them was rank 8. Including these demons, there should be more than 100,000 rank 9 in the catacombs. There were also many rank 9 martial artists in the Chu mainland. On the 3 continents, there were more than 300,000 martial artists above rank 9. And this number was now increasing crazily. According to Old Zhang and the others' judgment, if this went on, it would take a year at most. Maybe not even a year, this number would exceed 1 million. Old Zhang paused and said, this refers to rank 9. In fact, when someone breaks through Paragon, Emperor, Heavenly King, or even Emperor, one person can fight against thousands. Old Zhang said bitterly, so if all of them really need rank 9, then we may still have a year. But the situation is not like that. Now, there are even many people who want to achieve Emperor Realm. One Emperor Realm may be comparable to 10,000 rank 9 martial artists. If King Qian and the others succeed, then the immortal source will mature faster. Heavenly King Zhen also added, we want to get rid of these guys and buy some time. But if we make a move now, I'm afraid the Celestial Emperor won't just watch. In this way, if we make a move, it may cause the war to break out earlier. Again, it was a dilemma on both sides. Old Zhang said with a smile, so, I think we still have to delay. If we delay, maybe there will be a higher chance. Fang Ping did not say anything. He also looked up at the immortal source. What did Emperor West say? Fang Ping asked suddenly. Old Zhang said helplessly, what else can he say? He said he's not good at fighting and his strength is not that great. He can help us restrain the Spirit Emperor. That's the most he can do. Also, he wants us to send people to help. It's best if Xu Xiang and the others come together, Fang Ping laughed, to restrain a Spirit Emperor. Emperor West actually wanted Xu Xiang and the others to help. This guy had a good plan. Heavenly King Jin also said with a smile, this guy can't be counted on. As for my master, I went to Sun City and couldn't find him. I don't know if he's hiding or something happened, he said with a slight headache. I don't know what this old guy is doing. Fang Ping did not say anything. Actually, he had sensed it before. Now that he thought about it, he said slowly, he may not be in the 3 realms or not in the 3 realms and the origin, but in another space. I have some senses. There are 2 powerful forces fighting. He may have encountered Seed. Previously, when Emperor asked for help, he wanted to find Seed. Seed did not help, maybe because he was restrained. Fang Ping chuckled. It's a good thing. Seed is a variable. Now that he is really entangled with Sun God, it will reduce a lot of trouble. Let that old guy play with Seed. As Fang Ping said, he looked at Old Zhang. Your next mission is not on Earth. Go to the other 2 mainlands. Whether you agree or not, try to unify the 3 realms. Maybe you can continue to strengthen your strength. Emperor God, Emperor Do, Emperor East, Celestial Emperor, a total of 4 powerhouses. Even if I deal with Celestial Emperor, I'm afraid I can't do anything about the others. I still need your help. Emperor Heaven Reverse and Emperor God's attitude is unclear. Even if Celestial Emperor is restrained now, no one knows what they are thinking. Therefore, at the critical moment, we still need powerhouses to restrain them. Even if we can't deal with them, we still need to entangle them. You and Heaven's subduing king have the highest hope, Feng Ping exhaled. Although you don't enter the source land to prove your Tao, if you really get the recognition of the 3 realms, I think even if you don't prove your Tao, your combat strength will still increase a lot. In addition, all humans are becoming stronger. When the time comes, you can borrow more power. Even if you can't match them, you can still stop them from causing trouble. Old Zhang nodded slightly. Then I'll try. Now that the human race is strong, I have indeed received a lot of feedback. However, there are also some drawbacks. Mentality and vitality force are about to be unbalanced. That thing, I'll hand it over to the God Forging Envoy. I think the power inside is almost exhausted. When the God Forging Envoy has a way to recharge it, then we'll think of a way. The two continued to communicate for a while. Old Zhang did not say anything else. He still had a lot of things to do. The speed of the 3 realms merging was too fast, beyond expectations. He still had to run around now. Including with Chu Wu and even the catacombs, he had to pay attention. Old Zhang came quickly and left quickly as well. After he left, Heaven's subduing king said softly, "Your source land still lacks humanity. The Celestial Emperor has always wanted to make up for all kinds of great Tao, but he has not succeeded. Your chances are greater than the Celestial Emperor's. If Zhang Tao..." Feng Ping looked at him and said slowly, "If what? Learn from the earthly emperor's family?" Feng Ping said in a low voice, "This is not what I want to see. Moreover, even if he really does it, he may not be able to bring life to the human race." "I know." Heaven, subduing king, sighed, looked at the sky, changed the topic, and said, "The Divine Emperor and Do are actually gambling. They are gambling that you are strong and will attack the Celestial Emperor, or them. Obviously, they are confident that it is the Celestial Emperor. This is because the problem with the immortal source is here. If the immortal source is not broken, nothing else can be discussed. And the truth is indeed so. We must destroy the immortal source. However, if we destroy the immortal source, the Celestial Emperor will definitely stop us and attack. Therefore, these 2 bastards are smart. I'm afraid they still want to take advantage of the situation." As he said that, he continued, "Moreover, the Celestial Emperor will not attack them. If he does, he will push them to our side. He would rather they sit back and do nothing than force them to fall to us. In addition, they are stationed at the source land. The Celestial Emperor will not mess up his camp at this time." Feng Ping nodded slightly, did not speak, and played with a jade pendant in his hand. This was the last of the 3 treasures of the earthly emperor. He did not know what the earthly emperor left in the jade pendant. The crystal ball was the Tao fruit that was the life of the earthly emperor. The jade sword was the strongest attack left by the earthly emperor. What about the jade pendant? Feng Ping played with it for a while and crushed the jade pendant. In his mind, the voice of the earthly emperor sounded again. His laughter was very domineering. "Ha ha ha, I am back again." The image of the earthly emperor appeared in Feng Ping's mind. He laughed for a while and began to speak. Feng Ping listened quietly. Beside him, although the heaven's subduing king did not know what Feng Ping was doing, he could roughly guess. After a long time, Feng Ping exhaled softly, smiled, and looked up at the sky again. The 3 realms merged into one. In the chaos, the human continent quickly stabilized and even began the reconstruction work. Under the compression and collision of the continents, countless buildings collapsed. However, at this time, the reconstruction work began. The catacombs and beginner martial artists could not understand at all. At this time, it was a matter of life and death. whether they could survive or not. Yet the humans were still carrying out the reconstruction work. Not only that, in the human world, order was restored, classes resumed, children continued to go to school, and other industries began to resume their normal work. At the border of the continent, the human military martial artists increased and began to strengthen the defense line to prevent the catacombs and beginner martial artists from rushing in. Separated by the Mount Royal Sea defense line, on one side were corpses everywhere, and on the other side was the still prosperous human world. The powerhouses watched from the sky. In contrast, there was some indescribable complexity. Was there any meaning in maintaining this false prosperity in the human world at this time? Maybe in a few months, maybe in a few days, the three realms might turn into ruins. At this time, rebuilding and maintaining the normal social order was not only time-consuming, it was also very meaningless. The catacombs powerhouses did not understand, and the beginner martial powerhouses did not understand. Even if the beginner martial artists were not as chaotic as the catacombs, it was not to the point where they had to maintain the normal order at this time. In times of great chaos, not only natural disasters, but also man-made disasters. Faced with the danger of the world being destroyed, countless people went crazy. Even in the Chu-Wu continent, wars were breaking out continuously at this moment. Vengeance for vengeance, vengeance for vengeance. Killing, plundering, massacring cities to vent, these things were happening all the time. Some powerhouses could not stay calm in the face of such a crisis. Some people had already gone crazy. In addition, there were no powerhouses to restrain them at this moment. These people had already gone crazy. They lived day by day and did all kinds of evil. Even in the human world, there were crazy powerhouses who wanted to kill over. However, after old Zhang killed two saints, the situation improved a little. However, the situation of catacombs powerhouses killing over to the Chu-Wu continent and beginner martial powerhouses killing over to the catacombs continent was constantly happening. Darkness and turmoil far surpassed what it was 8,000 years ago. Even the chaotic era 8,000 years ago was not as good as this moment. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, the chaos continued, and it even began to spread to a larger area. As it became easier to comprehend the origin Tao, a large number of origin powerhouses began to break through. Breakthroughs were also accompanied by the snatching and killing of resources. There were even people who proved their heavenly kings and wanted to go further, and began to attack beginner martial artists. There were also many heavenly kings in the beginner martial world, but they were also unwilling to be robbed. Powerhouses from both sides, in the Bitter Sea area, broke out many heavenly king battles, and even heavenly kings began to fall. Powerhouses more and more. Rank 9 more and more. That sun seemed to be getting brighter and brighter. The immortal source was constantly maturing and growing. Fang Ping was still guarding the celestial dividing line. Zhang Tao had already begun to assign tasks, and orders were passed down in all directions. Not only that, Zhang Tao began to intervene in the other 2 continents. At this moment, the powerhouses of the 2 continents, however, did not have the energy to care about these. Just yesterday, King Qian and Feng wanted to ambush Illusion, and both sides broke out in a fight. Including Luan and Stonewall, they also began to wander over at the beginner martial world. Obviously, these 2 also wanted to prove their path as emperors. Although they all knew that proving their path as emperors might cause them to die faster, no one was willing to give up at this time. Capital City, Old Zhang's old nest. At this moment, old Zhang stood by the window, looking at the faraway land. The black dot floating in the air, ordinary people could not see it at all, but he could sense where Fang Ping was. Fang Ping had been staying there, floating in the air, suppressing the origin land. Yes, Fang Ping was right under the origin land, not giving the emperors a chance to intervene in the 3 realms. Previously, Celestial Emperor seemed to want to continue to push the 3 realms war. Let the powerhouses who broke 8 continue to fight. But the voice transmission was broken by Fang Ping, and both sides almost broke out into war. "Father!" a call woke Zhang Tao up. He turned his head to look at his son, who had just returned not long ago, smiled, and said softly, "How's the mission going?" Zhang Wu, also known as Hua Qidao, glanced at Zhang Tao, saw the exhaustion in his eyes, and also saw his helplessness. Sighing softly in his heart, Zhang Wu said, "It's going very well. Everyone is very supportive of father's decision," but Zhang Wu paused and said softly, "Are you really not going to tell Minister Fang? I'm afraid that when the time comes he will—" Zhang Tao waved his hand, smiled, and said, "Who does he think he is? I am King Wu, the current emperor. Moreover, the human race does not belong to him alone. Fighting alone, it's not his turn to be a hero." Zhang Tao smiled and said again, "Does everyone have any objections?" Zhang Wu said in a low voice, "They know what father means, and they also understand what their responsibilities are. Neo-martial artists may not be strong enough, but the neo-martial spirit will not be forgotten." Neo-martial spirit? Zhang Tao looked out the window, smiled, and laughed a little self-deprecatingly. Neo-martial spirit. That's just something I used to fool everyone after I became the minister, and they all took it seriously. People are so stupid, fooling them however they want. This shouldn't have been their war. "Father," Zhang Wu said in a low voice, "this is not your responsibility, nor is it Minister Fang's. This is everyone's. We only hate that we're not strong enough, that we can't face the enemy head-on, but we are also willing to contribute, to forge this era together, to let this era last forever." Difficult, difficult. Zhang Tao sighed, looking at the tiny black, and murmured, "But it's already reached this point. It's not bad." Zhang Wu said no more. After a moment, someone came directly through the air, and Li Zhen appeared instantly. Seeing Zhang Wu, he did not say anything, looked at Zhang Tao, and said in a low voice, "I've already made arrangements in the military. Everyone supports your decision." As he said that, Li Zhen hesitated and said, "But I didn't make arrangements in MCMAU, do you?" "MCMAU." Old Zhang smiled, shook his head slowly, and said, "I won't make arrangements in MCMAU. That kid is very protective. If he really finds out, he'll come after me. It's okay not to use MCMAU." "Yes, I understand," Li Zhen responded, and then said with a light laugh, "Speaking of which, Yunyue and I are also considered Emperor Path, right? Even if not, we're still Emperor Path, right? And Wu Chuan, Zhang Weiyu, have you forgotten about us? You?" Old Zhang turned his head and glanced at him. After a while, he sneered and said, "Don't say that. You can't afford to lose face like this. Emperor Path and Emperor are not as weak as you, and you have the nerve to say that. If it were me, I'd be too embarrassed to say this now." Li Zhen's face turned green. He was looking down on him too much. This bastard was exactly the same as Fang Ping. Neither of them were good people. Chapter 1473. Kill. The sound of killing shook the sky. On the 5th day of the 3 realms merging into one, Zhang Tao negotiated with the catacombs and Chu Wu several times, but he did not get a definite answer. The so-called negotiation was to restore peace between the two places. Killing was not allowed. However, in this apocalypse, who would care? Even if King Qian and the rest agreed, they could not suppress the entire catacombs and Chu Wu. At this time, these martial artists had gone crazy, knowing that they could die at any time. The people's hearts were scattered. In addition, the catacombs was a place where martial arts were respected. Killing was common. Why would they care about King Qian and the rest? If Li Zhu or Hong Yu were here, they might be able to suppress it. However, the Ji family was destroyed, Li Zhu and the rest were dead. In the catacombs, Feng and King Qian were considered outsiders. Who would listen to their orders? Just as chaos broke out on both sides, a strong army of the human race began to cross the imperial sea mountain to suppress the chaos. Yes, suppress. The humans chose this time to suppress the riot, kill the rank 9 and above thugs. This was the military order passed by Zhang Tao and Li Zhen. Kill. Their main target was the rank 9 and above martial artists. Any martial artists who continued to cause chaos had to be killed, including Desperate Realm, Emperor level. They were all on the list. Li Changsheng, Wang Jinyang, Li Hansong, Yao Qingjun, Li Zhan were king, Jiang Hao. These people were all generals who led the troops. You had no choice but to obey. Even if King Qian and the rest dared to cause trouble, they would be killed immediately. As for Chu Wu, the humans were not so tough. In the name of cooperating with Chu Wu, they stationed an army with many powerhouses. The God Creation envoy even personally guarded Chu Wu. There were also many source martial artists in Chu Wu. This army of the human race was also responsible for killing the rioters. Origin martial artists of rank 9 and above must be killed if anyone tried to create chaos. This was a mission that Zhang Tao personally arranged when he met some powerhouses, or rather, a military order. No matter who stopped them, they could be killed. The catacombs, Demon Court. At this moment, several break 8 powerhouses were here. The demon emperor sat on the throne and listened to the report from a great demon below. Today, the human powerhouses had killed more than 100 demons above rank 9. The demon emperor frowned and didn't say a word. After the demon emperor chased away the great demon who wanted to seek revenge, King Qian sighed and said, "The humans are trying to delay the time for the celestial source to mature. Over 100 grade 9 powerhouses have been killed in the Earth domain these past few days. It's the same for Chu Wu. The armies of the human race, under the leadership of the 8 Breakers, were suppressing the 3 realms. Thousands of demons were killed in the Sea of Bitterness." The demon emperor's expression was somewhat bitter. The demon race, when faced with the turmoil of the 3 realms and the crisis of the apocalypse, the demon race was harder to control than the human race. There were many demons in the Sea of Bitterness and many experts. Not all the demons went to the demon court. Now, these demons had landed in various places and stirred up a bloodbath. The human race did not care about this. They ordered the demon court to restrain the demons. If they could not restrain them, the human race would suppress the chaos and prevent the 3 realms from being in chaos. However, the demon emperor did not have the mood to suppress them. Moreover, unless he did it himself, he could not suppress them. There was chaos everywhere. Helpless, he could only let the humans enter the catacombs and the Sea of Bitterness. In a short period of time, many martial artists and demons were killed. It was not just the grade 9 demons. Even 5 desperation demons were killed. The demon emperor sighed and said slowly, "There's no way to stop this. Even if we look for the dragon emperor, he won't care. The humans have made up their mind to delay the time for the celestial source to mature. If we stop them, I'm afraid we won't be able to escape death." After saying that, he continued, "Not only that, we want to prove our Tao. At this moment, we don't have to be careful of the celestial emperor and the others. We have to be careful of the humans. To prevent the celestial source from maturing and stabilizing the source, they will definitely stop us." Everyone looked at each other. Feng smiled and said, "Actually, it's not that there's no way. If we cut off our Tao on the celestial source, the humans will naturally not care whether we prove our Tao or not." The demon emperor smiled bitterly. How could it be so simple? The celestial emperor was personally suppressing the celestial source. Cut off Tao? Where could it be cut off? The demon emperor did not continue on this topic. He looked at the few of them and said softly, "Although the humans have killed many rank 9 and above martial artists, the killing rate is not as fast as the birth rate. Many martial artists were previously stuck at rank 7 and 8. In just a few days, they have broken through to rank 9. If this goes on, I'm worried that the humans will disregard everything and kill a large number of powerhouses, even including us. The Celestial Emperor will not agree to this." King Qian said in a low voice, "The Celestial Emperor wants to use the celestial source to repair the source ground. He will not allow the humans to attack us. The humans are not doing much now. They have not killed many rank 9 martial artists. However, once the humans start a massacre, the Celestial Emperor will definitely stop them. Now, many rank 9 martial artists had died, but the effect was not great. This was because there were tens of billions of humans and demons in the catacombs, beginner martial artists and demons. Every day, there would be a large number of people breaking through to the celestial source. What I'm afraid of is that it's too far away. The Monster Emperor heaved a sigh. He looked outside the hall. He could not see the dark shadow, but he seemed to know that the shadow was there. He said softly, "He is suppressing the celestial source. Not even the Celestial Emperor will recklessly fight him now." Previously, the earthly sovereign school helped him, allowing him to become the second source ground and leave. Now, how strong is he? Before, he was not as strong as the earthly sovereign, but he was comparable to the human sovereign. Now, I'm afraid he has the combat strength of East Sovereign, or even stronger. The Monster Emperor said softly, "The Celestial Emperor still needs to suppress the source ground and keep the Emperor God and the Emperor of Heaven Reverse in check. Unless the humans really start a massacre, otherwise, the Celestial Emperor will not choose to fight Fong Ping on such a small scale. Once the fight starts, the 3 realms will be affected. The Celestial Source is not mature yet. The Celestial Emperor will lose more than he gains." The few of them felt a little bitter when they heard this. Right now, they were very worried that they would become the target of the human race. Killing 1 rank 8 martial artist was more useful than killing 1,000 rank 9 martial artists. After a moment of silence, the Monster Emperor said, "I have invited the Heavenly King of Water Force and Heavenly King of Infinite Force to be the left and right Heavenly Kings of the Monster Court. I have also sent someone to inform the Dragon Emperor that I am willing to change the name of the Monster Court to the Dragon Court. If the humans really want to make a move, they will have to think twice." "Kunping, you are very decisive," Fong complimented. Inviting the 2 from the Water Force Island to be the left and right Heavenly Kings of the Monster Court and changing the name of the Monster Court to the Dragon Court were all things that the humans were worried about. After all, the 3 of them had always been working with the humans. King Qian did not care. He sighed. "Even if the humans are worried, they will not let us go. Let's be careful. Now the source ground is the safest. If we can succeed and enter the source ground, the Celestial Emperor will protect us." This was their only hope right now. Otherwise, if this went on, the humans would really attack them. They did not do it now because they were worried about the Celestial Emperor. The Celestial Emperor did not dare to act rashly, and neither did Fong Ping. Otherwise, if a war broke out, the 3 realms would be destroyed. Neither side would be happy. The few of them discussed for a while. They were all frowning and at their wits' end. Under the current situation, they did not dare to prove their Tao. Even if they did, they had to kill the supreme new martial artists. There were only 3 supreme new martial artists. None of them were to be trifled with. Who should they kill? Even if they killed them, they might not succeed in proving their Tao. At this moment, King Qian said in a low voice, "Why don't we instigate Luan and Sherpa to kill the supreme new martial artists? We'll see if we have a chance. Even if we don't, we can help them kill the supreme new martial artists. Let's see if Fong Ping and the rest will stop them when they prove their Tao." After saying that, King Qian said in a low voice, "If Luan and Sherpa prove their Tao, it will be a blow to the humans. When that happens, the humans will not have time to care about us." The few of them looked at each other. This was a good idea. Luan and Sherpa had helped the humans before. The new martial artists worked with the humans. But now, did Luan and Sherpa want to prove their Tao? Needless to say, did they want to kill the new martial artists? They definitely wanted to. If that was the case, who would the humans help when both sides fought? At most, they would not help either side. But if Luan and Sherpa won and proved their Tao, when that happened, the humans would not have time to care about them. As long as Luan and Sherpa messed around a few more times, the humans would not care about them at all. The powerhouses in the catacombs were discussing. The human army was suppressing all directions, killing powerhouses from all directions. In the source ground, at this moment, there were fewer and fewer people in the source ground, in the world where Spirit Emperor was. Since the three realms merged, Spirit Emperor did not need to suppress the source ground anymore. The Celestial Emperor personally suppressed it. In this heaven, there was a small courtyard. In the small courtyard, Spirit Emperor was cultivating. She suddenly opened her eyes and said indifferently, "Since you're here, why don't you show yourself?" The next moment, Dong Huang's figure appeared. Looking at Spirit Emperor, he sighed softly and said, "Are you all right?" Spirit Emperor glanced at him and did not say anything. She closed her eyes and continued to cultivate. Dong Huang looked at her and said after a long time, "Why don't I think of a way to send you out of the source ground? The cat is still in the human world. You did not kill the humans. Fang Ping and the rest will not make things difficult for you. No need." Spirit Emperor shouted softly. She opened her eyes and looked at him with a frown. She said coldly, "If you came to say this, you can leave now." Dong Huang looked at her and sighed again after a while. "All these years, you've changed to a stranger. The three realms is about to be destroyed. Cheong and Do have the heart to destroy the three realms. It's not just them. The Celestial Emperor and Fang Ping are the same. They've all been driven crazy. Destroying the three realms and destroying the source ground might be the next outcome. At this time, nothing you do will change anything. Why do you have to do this? You might as well find a place to be quiet for a few days and wait for the three realms to be destroyed." Spirit Emperor did not say anything. Dong Huang continued, "In the past, your father entrusted you to me and told you not to participate in the battle of the myriad Tao. Unfortunately, at that time, I was busy with the matter of proving my Tao. I never thought that the Celestial Emperor would accept you as a disciple. I thought that I could take care of you as a brother and sister from the same sect. Who knew that this was a path of no return?" Dong Huang sighed again. In the past, the tribe that Spirit Emperor was in was also a large tribe. Her father was also one of the ancient powerhouses. Although he was not comparable to the Celestial Emperor and the others, he was also very powerful back then. Of course, compared to the Celestial Emperor and how there was still a big gap. Dong Huang had known Spirit Emperor's father since a long time ago. In the Battle of the Myriad Tao, Spirit Emperor's tribe was destroyed. Before Spirit Emperor's father died, he entrusted his daughter to his good friend Hao. This was the reason why Dong Huang had taken care of Spirit Emperor many times, including in the mystic realm. Giving the protective divine artifact to Spirit Emperor's clone was all because of the relationship of the past. Now, Dong Huang did not want Spirit Emperor to continue participating in the battle of the three realms. After being trapped for 8,000 years, even going out for a walk was good. Spirit Emperor did not say anything and remained silent. Dong Huang continued, "If you want to leave, I can find Fang Ping and Wang Jinyang and get them to open the passage to let you leave. Wang Jinyang owes me a favor. The cat is still in the human race. Fang Ping will not refuse." "No need." "Spirit," Dong Huang frowned and said softly, "the chaos is coming. The immortal source will mature soon. If you stay, once the source collapses, then I'll just die." Spirit Emperor's voice was cold. "Now, I'm neither a human nor a ghost. Why care about life and death?" Dong Huang tried to persuade her, but Spirit Emperor ignored him. Seeing her determination, Dong Huang could not help but say, "Tell me, what do you want to do? Even if Celestial Emperor has a master-disciple relationship with you, all these years he has repaid what he should. Back then, he let you step on the origin path. He did not have good intentions. You are not stupid. You should have seen it long ago. You are just one of his pawns, not a disciple he dotes on. Do you really want to die with him?" "Celestial Emperor will die?" Spirit Emperor said coldly, "His strength is stronger than you think. How can he die?" Back then, Sun God only absorbed 1/10 of the energy. Today, Celestial Emperor has absorbed half of the energy. Even if the source land has been damaged repeatedly, he is still stronger than you think. Fang Ping and the others want to kill Celestial Emperor? Dream on. Obviously, she did not think that Fang Ping and the others could win. Even with the Divine Emperor and Do restraining him, it would not be that easy to win against Celestial Emperor. Now the Sun God had disappeared. If the Sun God was here, there would be some hope if they joined forces. The Sun God is missing. I'm afraid it was entangled by the seed. If there is no accident, it was his idea. Spirit Emperor looked at Dong Huang and said indifferently, "He is not afraid of you joining forces. He is just waiting for the immortal source to mature. No one can stop him, unless you choose to destroy the world. Even so, you will be the ones to die, not him. At most, he will wait a few more years for the second immortal source to mature, and those of you who oppose him will not live." Dong Huang frowned slightly. When he fought with Sun God in the early years, he was only slightly better and did not completely gain the upper hand. In ancient times, Celestial Emperor was not as good as Sun God. After absorbing the source land, Celestial Emperor was stronger than Sun God, which was why he could destroy Sun God's small world. However, he was only slightly better. Spirit Emperor had underestimated Sun God and Fang Ping, right? Spirit Emperor sneered and was too lazy to speak. Dong Huang frowned slightly and looked at her. "What do you know?" Spirit Emperor did not speak. "Spirit, in the early years you have been by his side. Did you discover something?" Spirit Emperor still did not speak. However, after a while he snorted coldly and said, "I was a witness to the battle when he defeated Sun God's small world. He was indeed only slightly better than Sun God, and he used the power of the seed to suppress Sun God." As he spoke, Spirit Emperor's voice suddenly became a little low. "But I was there back then, and I know more than you. At that time, the seed did not help him suppress the source land." "Huh." Dong Huang was shocked. What did he mean? Soon, Dong Huang's expression changed. "The seed. At that time, it did not help Celestial Emperor suppress the source land. Then, didn't that mean that Celestial Emperor had suppressed the crack in the source land in the past? At the same time, Celestial Emperor had also defeated Sun God. How could that be?" Dong Huang was a little shocked. Wasn't the crack he suppressed fake? Fake. Spirit Emperor looked at him and said indifferently, "Who said it was fake? It's true. He was the one who suppressed the crack in the source land, including the crack left behind by Sun God. Therefore, when he defeated Sun God back then, he did not use his full strength. He suppressed the crack while fighting Sun God. Sun God thought that he used the power of the seed to defeat him, so he did not take him seriously at all. Little did he know that he had long surpassed him." Dong Huang frowned and looked at Spirit Emperor. After a long time, he sighed. "I understand." After another moment of silence, Dong Huang said slowly, "Are you really not leaving?" "No need. If that's the case, I won't persuade you anymore. When the battle starts, don't act recklessly. Follow me, no need." Dong Huang tried to persuade him a few times, but in the end it turned into a sigh. His figure dissipated and disappeared from this place. After he left, Spirit Emperor continued to cultivate with his eyes closed. Earth. Fang Ping kept doing some experiments, such as moving people to their own source land and sealing the source land to see if there was any effect. The results proved that the origin Tao could not be cut off. As for whether it could isolate the seed, he could not test it out. And if he let people break through in their own source land, in the end, their own source land did not respond. The breakthrough was still the origin Tao, still the Tao in the outside world. The second source land is not that sealed off. Fang Ping murmured in his heart. It might have something to do with the instability of the source land. This also led to the fact that when people were moved in, they still had to break through the origin Tao instead of opening up another Tao in their own world. Fang Ping did not continue experimenting. He looked at his own source world again. The source world was still expanding. This was because in the past few days a large number of cities on Earth had been integrated by him again. Fang Ping alone guarded the heavens and Earth. The humans all knew where Fang Ping was. In the past few days, there were cities constantly taking the initiative to integrate into Fang Ping's source land. However, at this time, Fang Ping felt a huge bottleneck. The source land that had integrated thousands of cities now seemed to have really reached a limit, a diameter of 99,999 meters. According to the actual size, Fang Ping's source world had an area of close to 80 square kilometers, close to the size of a district. As for the source land, it was actually condensed. When people entered it, it was like Fang Ping entering the Heaven Destroyer Emperor's source world. This world would be magnified infinitely. Therefore, in Fang Ping's source world, there are thousands of cities integrated. However, even after integrating so many cities, Fang Ping still could not break through the bottleneck. In the past few days, after integrating dozens of cities again, the source land seemed to have reached its limit. There was no movement at all. Fang Ping had encountered a bottleneck. It was not just a bottleneck. He even felt that if he continued to integrate, his source land might not be able to withstand it and would collapse. The source land is unstable. This problem became Fang Ping's trouble again. In the sky, the sun was getting brighter and brighter. Fang Ping knew that this was a sign that the immortal source was about to mature. Fang Ping felt slightly anxious. He could not let the immortal source mature. If it matured, it meant that all the martial artists who were controlled would die and become the source of energy for Celestial Emperor's source land. Therefore, before the immortal source matured, whether Fang Ping could find a way or not, he had to attack the immortal source. The sun god is trapped by the seed. I can only rely on myself to think of a way. Just as Fang Ping was thinking about this, in the sky, a figure suddenly appeared. The figure shot toward him. Fang Ping's expression changed. He did not attack. After a while, the figure walked out of the sun and walked to Fang Ping's side, sitting cross-legged opposite Fang Ping. Qin Fengqing chuckled and said, "I'm suffocating. Do you have wine?" Fang Ping tossed a jar of wine over. Qin Fengqing opened it and drank. Then he smiled and said, "I didn't want to come. Celestial Emperor forced me to come. He asked me to pass on a few words. Speak. If I say it, don't slash me." Fang Ping frowned. Qin Fengqing laughed dryly. "I just passed on a message and came down to take a breather. That fellow said, 'Do you still want the few from the source land? Book fragrance, heavenly dog, dragon transformation, including me. I can give them all to you.'" Fang Ping frowned. Qin Fengqing coughed dryly and continued, "But Celestial Emperor wants you to break the Tao of the three emperors. He said he doesn't want to wait anymore, and he doesn't want to play hide-and-seek with you anymore. Previously, he hoped that you guys could help him replenish the source land. In the end, you guys made trouble and didn't cooperate. Anyway, that's what he meant. Right now, the few of us are in the source land. The Tao fruits can't leave either. If Celestial Emperor wants to attack us, the Divine Emperor and Celestial Emperor reverse can't stop him. That's why he wants to use the few of us to exchange for Old Wang and the other two's Tao." Fang Ping snorted. "You?" "Ahem. Anyway, it's the same to take 3 or 4. Can't you take one more?" Qin Fengqing chuckled. "Do you think this business is worthwhile? 3 emperors Tao in exchange for 4 emperors. Should he? Breaking the 3 emperors Tao might not necessarily kill them. However, breaking the 3 emperors Tao would reduce the loopholes in Celestial Emperor's source land. Among the 3 emperors Tao, Celestial Emperor Zhan's Tao might have been exposed. It might even be located by Celestial Emperor. However, the other 2 had not been exposed until now. It seemed like Celestial Emperor did not want to look for another opportunity. This time, he was very straightforward, using people to exchange. For people for 3 Tao, should he trade or not? As for what would happen to them if they did not agree, Fong Ping could imagine. Among them, the strongest was only 60 to 70 million Cal vitality. Going against Celestial Emperor was courting death. Moreover, they were at the Source Land. Celestial Emperor could control the Source Land. In this way, if Fong Ping did not agree, they might be killed. Fong Ping's gaze was cold. Celestial Emperor was forcing him to make a choice. For emperors, should he trade? If he wanted, he would break the 3 emperors' Tao. If he did not, he would kill these 4 people. The immortal source was about to mature. Celestial Emperor did not need to leave behind any hidden dangers. Both parties' focus was on the immortal source. Not far away, Old Wang tread on the air and sat down cross-legged beside the 2 of them. He smiled and said, "Break our Tao. How about the few of you?" "Yes. Ask Celestial Emperor if he doesn't trade you. Is that okay?" "Don't." Qin Fengqing said pitifully, "I'm miserable enough now. I'm under multiple leadership. The seed leads me. Celestial Emperor leads me. If the Emperor dies, if he doesn't die, there's still him. I'm so miserable. Count me in." Old Wang smiled and looked at Fong Ping. "What do you think? Is it more beneficial to keep 3 Tao or to trade for 4 of them? If he left 3 Tao, Celestial Emperor would not be able to completely seal the source. That meant that even if he absorbed the immortal source, he would not be able to achieve the 20% increase. However, if the Tao was really broken and the 3 Tao were broken, then Celestial Emperor would absorb the immortal source and refine it. Celestial Emperor would be ridiculously powerful. In the blink of an eye, Heavenly King subduing came through the air and said in a low voice, "No! Fong Ping, I know you have a sharp tongue but a soft heart. After all, Shuxiang and the others have helped us. You're not willing to give them up now, but if we break the 3 emperors' Tao, even if Wang Jinyang and the others don't die, Celestial Emperor will have no worries. When that time comes, he can focus on dealing with the immortal source. Now we still have confidence. But once 3 Tao are broken, we won't even have the capital to restrain Celestial Emperor." He did not agree. Even if this decision was cruel, he still did not agree. To be honest, the 4 emperors were not very powerful. In terms of value, they were not as valuable as the 3 emperors' Tao. Moreover, in the big picture, the 3 emperors' Tao was more useful. Qin Fengqing came down and sensed not only them. Not long after, Old Zhang also came. When he heard this, he could not help but frown. Celestial Emperor was no longer hiding in the dark. He was straightforward and used the 4 emperors to exchange for 3 Tao. This was a dilemma. Giving up on Shuxiang and the others, this was not an ordinary martial artist. The 4 emperors, whether it was Shuxiang or Dragon Transformation, had always been helping the human race, including Heavenly Hound. As for Qin Fengqing, this guy was running here and there. Speaking of which, he had never attacked the human race. It was not appropriate to abandon him as a traitor. It was difficult for the 4 of them to give up. But breaking the 3 emperors' Tao was also a difficult choice. Regardless of whether Wang Jinyang and the others would die, even if they did not, this would solve Celestial Emperor's worries. This was also a huge loss. At that time, Celestial Emperor would have more energy to deal with Fong Ping and the Divine Emperor. Fong Ping's eyes flickered. After a while, he said, "Break the Tao or give up on the 4 of them." Everyone looked at him. If Celestial Emperor swallows the immortal source, most of the human race will be destroyed. At that time, there is no difference whether the Tao is broken or not. Break the Tao and stop him from swallowing the immortal source. Then he still can't seal the source. As soon as this was said, Heavenly King Zhen wanted to say something, but stopped. Obviously, Fong Ping meant to break the Tao. Then he was just about to say something when Fong Ping exhaled and said, "Break the Tao, Old Wang, and the others may die." Wang Jinyang smiled and said, "In exchange for the 4 emperors, it's actually still worth it. Not worth it." Fong Ping's tone was cold. The next moment he said in a low voice, "My strength can't be improved anymore. Heavenly King Zhen, what about you?" Heavenly King Zhen frowned. I'm afraid it's also difficult. Old Zhang, what about you? Zhang Tao frowned and shook his head. I've improved a lot these few days, but if I want to improve again, it will not be a matter of a few months. So we've reached our limit. Fong Ping murmured. Since we've reached our limit, actually it's meaningless to wait. If the immortal source is about to mature and he swallows it carelessly, then the loss will outweigh the gain. As soon as these words came out, their hearts trembled. Old Zhang's eyes flickered, and he said in a low voice, "You want to fight the final battle?" Fong Ping said that there was no point in dragging it out. Indeed, there was not much point. Previously, the delay was to let the human race improve, to let everyone become stronger. But now, if it dragged on, the 4 emperors might be killed. Fong Ping's eyes flickered. Take this opportunity to attack the source and save the 4 emperors. With the reason of breaking the Tao, open 3 Tao. Qin Feng Qing, the 4 of you want to escape the source. Did the celestial emperor agree to provide you with the power to leave with the Tao fruits? Yes. Qin Feng Qing's eyes also flickered. The celestial emperor said that he can unlock the restrictions of the Tao fruits so that we can leave with the Tao fruits. He should be using the power of the seeds to fill those cracks so that we can leave with the Tao fruits. Then let the celestial emperor unlock the restrictions of your Tao fruits first. When the 3 Tao are opened, you guys leave with the Tao fruits and we'll attack. Fong Ping looked at the sun in the sky and murmured, "There's no need to wait anymore. If we wait any longer, the result will be the same. I can't improve now, everyone is the same. If that's the case, then let's fight." Fight! He did not know how long his source could last, but now the celestial emperor was already impatient. He even used the people in the source to threaten him. If Fong Ping did not compromise, he would either kill the 4 of them or break the Tao of the 3 emperors. This was not worth it. Then, he might as well be more straightforward and fight now. Zhang Tao and the others looked at each other, their gazes gradually becoming determined. That was true. At this point, there was really no way to delay it anymore. Then fight. P.S. There are only 2 chapters left. It's a pity that I can't see this chapter. I don't know if there are any suggestions. If you can't see it, then forget it. The battle is about to begin. The end is near. Brothers, vote some monthly votes. See if the data can be better. Chapter 1474. The 3 Realms Continent. The killing continued. The magic martial army, stationed deep in the catacombs, received a secret order today. In a blood-stained basilica, Wu Quishan summoned the powerhouses. When everyone was present, Wu Quishan's expression was solemn. He tossed out a crystal ball, sealing the area. Tang Feng and the others who had just entered looked at Wu Quishan. The magic martial army was now one of the strongest armies of the human race. Countless powerhouses. There were close to 100 powerhouses at the top. In this catacombs, the magic martial army was also the main force to suppress the catacombs. Wu Quishan had just achieved Heavenly King 2 days ago. Compared to those veteran powerhouses, he was naturally not as good. However, there were not many Heavenly King powerhouses in the 3 realms. Everyone is here. Wu Quishan looked at everyone and said in a low voice, "Just now, the military department sent an order. A secret order." Everyone's expression turned solemn. Wu Quishan took a deep breath, as if he was slightly uneasy. Very quickly, he suppressed the throbbing in his heart and said in a low voice, "The military department orders. Once the source is in turmoil, the magic martial army will deploy troops and kill martial artists above rank 9. Kill them all." Everyone was shocked. Kill martial artists above rank 9. There was no prefix. Before this, it was all about killing the powerhouses in turmoil. Wu Quishan seemed to know what they were thinking. He said in a low voice, "That's all. Kill them all. Whether it's the catacombs, the demons, or the beginners we encounter. As long as they are not humans, kill them all. Everyone, the source is in turmoil. I'm afraid that will be the time for the final battle. This military order is only known to everyone. On the battlefield, execute the military order. Remember, don't be lenient. Yes. Everyone responded one after another, a little solemn. Kill martial artists above rank. 9, all of them. There was no need to distinguish whether they were creating chaos or not. No need to distinguish whether there was a need to stay. Everyone knew what Wu Quishan meant. They also knew the meaning of the secret order from the military department. They were going to break the immortal source. Wu Quishan saw everyone's solemn expression and exhaled. Everyone, now that things have come to this, we can't participate in the source battle. Fighting in the catacombs is to assist Fang Ping and Minister Zhang. If we are lenient and Heavenly Emperor succeeds, the human race will face the threat of extinction. Understood. Everyone shouted in a low voice. All right, everyone get ready. There are quite a number of martial artists above the paragon level in the catacombs now. Tang Feng, Feng Gru, Zhao Xuemei, Fu Changding, Chen Yunqi, Wu Quishan called out names one by one. We'll form a team and specialize in hunting down martial artists who are at the top of the catacombs. If Fang Ping and the others lose, we'll all die together. If they win, the humans will unify the 3 realms and kill all these powerhouses. It'll also be beneficial to unify the catacombs continent. Wu Quishan looked at the crowd, and they nodded, their eyes bloodshot. Previously, everyone was only suppressing those who were causing trouble. Now, it seemed that the critical moment had arrived. Kill without mercy. The experts didn't make a sound, but their eyes were bloodshot. Then let's just kill them. Fang Ping in midair. Old Wang and the others looked at Fang Ping. Old Wang pondered for a moment and said, "We also have the power to break through 9 levels now. Although we are no match for Celestial Emperor and the others, if we join forces, it should not be a problem for us to stop Spirit Sovereign for a while. Leave the Spirit Emperor to us." Fang Ping looked at them and said in a low voice, "Your mission is to maintain the opening of the passageway and escort the others to leave. There's no need for so many people in the source." Fang Ping, Old Wang said in a low voice, "If you lose, then everything will be for naught. It's better to stay in the source together. Either you win or you lose and get killed together. Do you think we have any other choice?" Ironhead also said in a low voice, "Yes, Fang Ping, if you lose, we'll all die. Why not take a gamble? Can't you still integrate? We have the power to break through 9 levels now. When the time comes to integrate, we can more or less increase your combat strength." On the other side, the God-forging envoy threw an invisible ball to Fang Ping and said with a smile, "The problem of charging has been solved. However, we are not the 3 emperors. The energy charged is not much. You can use it as you see fit." Actually, Wang Jinyang and the others are right. If you lose, then all of you will lose. If that's the case, then it's better to take a gamble. If we really lose, then we'll die together. Fang Ping wanted to fight Celestial Emperor alone in the source, with Heavenly King subduing and the others, letting Old Wang and the others escort the others away. However, everyone felt that even if they left, they would not be able to survive. Celestial Emperor would not let them go. Fang Ping frowned and looked at the God-forging envoy. The God-forging envoy smiled and said, "I left behind the starry sky world. This divine artifact is not small. It's not a problem to hide a few thousand people. Soon, those people will enter. When the time comes, they will be exiled into the void. There are no powerhouses, with the divine artifact concealing their auras. If they are lucky, Celestial Emperor will not be able to find them. Moreover, Celestial Emperor may not be able to find them. It's just a group of weaklings. There isn't even a single person at the peak." The plan to retain the seed was still activated. There were not many people, 3,000 people. They would all enter a divine artifact, forged by the God-forging envoy to live. The divine artifact would be thrown into the endless void. There were no powerhouses in it. As for whether they could survive in the end, it would all depend on luck. It depended on whether Celestial Emperor would search for it. The premise was that Celestial Emperor won. Fong Ping was silent. He glanced at the few of them. After a while, he said in a low voice, "Then that's it." After saying that, he exhaled softly and said, "You guys go back and prepare first. I'll go take a look." Look at what? He looked at his family that was about to leave the Three Realms. Although his origin had been forged successfully, it was not stable. Once the war started, Fong Ping's origin would definitely be shaken or even collapse. When that time came, it would harm everyone instead. Therefore, Fong Ping did not let anyone move to his origin at this moment. It was safer to stay in the Three Realms. Star Town. A divine artifact that looked like a huge shuttle appeared in front of a group of young people. At this moment, the door opened, but no one stepped forward. "I'm not leaving. I want to see my brother." A choked voice was heard. In front of the crowd, Fong Yuan's eyes were red. He refused to enter. "I'm not leaving. I'm also a martial artist. I want to wait for my brother to come back." "Don't mess around." Beside him, Old Man Li, who was in charge of this matter, was no longer tolerant. He no longer had a smile on his face. He berated, "Fong Yuan, this is an order from all the human powerhouses. Military order, execute." "Grandpa Li," Fong Yuan's tears flowed. "I don't want to leave. Where can I go? My parents are still here. My brother is still here. Grandpa Li, where can I go? Go in." Old Man Li shouted softly. Where to? He did not know. From now on, these people would live in this divine artifact. There were huge amounts of materials, resources, martial arts, secret manuals, energy stones, all kinds of treasures these things had been placed inside. Break the void and place the divine artifact inside. It would flow and wander with space. Where to? He did not know. Was it still within the Three Realms? He did not know. This was humanity's hope. The last hope. As for whether they could destroy the seeds after they left, it was no longer a consideration. After defeating Celestial Emperor, they could still find them. If they could not defeat Celestial Emperor, then destroying the seeds would become a joke. Naturally, there was no need to search for them. They were the last hope. It was not the hope for revenge. It was the hope that the powerhouses wanted to keep the human race alive. It was a group of young people. They were very young. There were even some children. There were no elders. Even Fong Ping's parents were not around. It was not that Zhang Tao and the rest did not give them a place. With Fong Ping's identity and status, it was impossible that he did not give them a place. However, the Fong couple smiled and refused. They said that they wanted to stay and guard their home. They were afraid that Fong Ping would not be able to find his way back. Their daughter was still young. It was fine as long as she left. They did not want to live this kind of wandering life. They refused. At this moment, the great battle was imminent. Old Man Li's expression was solemn. He bellowed, "Do you know that every quota was exchanged with the lives of your fathers, your family, your brothers, and even your entire family, young and old? The reason why you people can stand here is because someone has borne everything for you. They are bleeding and fighting. You are stalling for time now, refusing to leave. When they are fighting, they still have to worry about you. Live on. This is not a mission. It's a prayer. I beg you, don't let the human civilization be completely destroyed, completely disappear." Old Man Li bellowed, "Living on is more important than dying. It's also more painful. Although you are still young, you need to bear a greater responsibility. You don't have the strength to fight, so you can only bear more pain. Do you think there is hope if you go in? No, it might be more hopeless. In this narrow space, you can't see the sun, the moon, you can't see anything. You can only wander on alone. Live on. Maybe, after the battle, you won't be able to survive at all. It's just a glimmer of hope. Do you understand?" Old Man Li said in a low voice, "If we win, we will look for you. If we lose, then there's no need to wait anymore." Sobs were heard everywhere. In the crowd, some of the youth's veins were bulging. They clenched their fists, their eyes red. They were older and knew more. Grandpa Li. In front, Fang Yuan was sobbing. She did not want to leave. At this moment, the void was torn apart. Fang Ping stepped into Star Town. Brother. When Fang Yuan saw Fang Ping, she was overjoyed. She said hurriedly, Brother, I don't want to leave. Fang Ping smiled. He stepped into the air and caught Fang Yuan, who was running toward him. Patting Fang Yuan's head, Fang Ping looked at the crowd and smiled. It's better to be prepared. Since I started my career, I have never lost a battle. I have never failed. If you trust me, just treat it as a magical journey in space. Take a nap. When you wake up tomorrow, the world will be at peace. If you don't trust me, you're just waiting to die by wandering in the endless space. If you're here, your parents and grandparents won't be at ease. They won't be able to give it their all. They're all worried that you'll be implicated. Leaving is the best consolation for them. Rather than saying this as an escape, it's better to say it's a way to calm people down and comfort your parents. Fang Ping smiled. Do you really think you'll be safe after entering the artifact and wandering in the void? No, it's even more dangerous. However, your families think that there's hope this way. That's why we came up with this plan to comfort them, lest they lose their will to fight and get killed by the enemy. Fang Ping looked at the crowd and smiled again. So, if you don't want your families to die in battle, then go in. Beside him, someone said resentfully, Go in. I want to go in, but I can't. It was none other than Jiang Chao. Originally, there would definitely be a place for him among this group of people. However, none of the people who left this time were rank 9. Even Fang Yuan was not a rank 9. She had not even condensed the origin. The rank 9 Dao had been locked by the immortal source. If the immortal source could not be destroyed, these people would be found. Fang Ping glanced at him and smiled. Why don't I help you break your Dao? You won't die. Do you want to go with me? Jiang Chao said gloomily, No way. I thought there would be delicious food. In the end, I realized that there are all kinds of things inside. Energy stones, all kinds of pills, all kinds of books, all kinds of mystic techniques, all kinds of weapons. You're kidding me. If it's only for a short period of time, then forget it. If I were to wander for thousands of years, oh my God, you might as well kill me now. Fang Ping could not help but laugh. He ignored him and looked at the others. All of you heard it. This is a cage that's countless times smaller than the 3 realms. Going in might not be a good thing. Don't feel like you're deserters, because to put it bluntly, all of you are too weak. So weak that I don't even treat you as soldiers. Fang Ping smiled. All of you are so weak. I'm also very helpless. If all of you had cultivated to rank 9 earlier, it might not be you who entered this time. Originally, it was supposed to be some of your peers and elites. In the end, I realized that many of those elites were in desperate straits. All of you are too weak, too useless. I can only give the places to you. As soon as he said that, even though everyone knew that Fang Ping was comforting them, they still blushed. This was heart-wrenching. How embarrassing. Yes, all of you were too weak. When you cultivated to rank 9, your Dao was locked. Then, you might not be allowed to leave. Previously, among this group of people, there were indeed many older brothers and sisters, and even younger brothers and sisters who obtained the places. In the end, many of them broke through to rank 9 and even desperate straits. That was why they were allowed to come. Everyone blushed, momentarily forgetting that they did not want to leave earlier. According to Fang Ping, all of them were too weak. Weak people would be a hindrance if they stayed. So leave now. All of you go in. Fang Ping laughed. In the crowd, some people looked at each other. Finally, a sigh was heard. Some people began to enter. 1, 2. Gradually, most of them had entered it. Fang Yuan grabbed Fang Ping, sobbing. Brother, I'm very powerful. Although I haven't condensed a Dao, I'm very strong. Even Fatty Jiang can't beat me. On the other side, Jiang Chao's expression darkened. This little girl only knew how to speak the truth. Fong Ping laughed. I know you're powerful, but are you as powerful as me? I'm already worried about Dad and Mom not leaving. If you don't leave, I'll have one more worry. Dad and Mom are fine. They'll be waiting for me at home. What about you? You're not an obedient girl. If you rush out to look for me, I'm fine, but the enemy discovers you and finds an opportunity. Won't I be in trouble then? Fong Ping laughed. Let's go. Take a nap. Brother will come and pick you up in a few days. Fong Yuan cried again. The next moment, a cat came through the void and landed on Fong Ping's shoulder. It swept its tail at Fong Yuan and said happily, Little chubby face, you lied to the cat that you don't cry. How embarrassing. You're so annoying. Fong Yuan chased its tail away angrily and looked at Fong Ping again. Fong Ping laughed. Go in. Don't make me worry. Right now, you're the strongest among them. If they're in danger, they'll need you to protect them. Fong Ping laughed again. Haven't you always wanted to be the boss? You can be the boss today. You can beat up anyone who doesn't agree. They're no match for you. Now that you don't even have a backer, you can beat them up however you want. Don't be afraid. Fong Yuan smiled through her tears. She could not help but complain, Brother, I'm all grown up. I'm not a kid anymore. Who would bully others? Grown up, Fong Ping mumbled. Had she grown up? She was just a kid. Pinching her slightly thin cheek, Fong Ping smiled and said, Let's go in. Brother, don't worry. I'll come and pick you up in a few days. Fong Ping comforted her. He looked at the cat and said, Big cat, go in and play with her for a while. The cat said happily, Okay, I'll play with her for a while. Fong Ping smacked the cat's head. This cat was getting more and more mischievous. No, this cat did not have one in the first place. Fong Yuan treated the cat as a pet. Big Cat treated Fong Yuan as a pet too. Who was going to play with Fong Yuan for a while? Who knew who would be the one playing later? Fong Ping laughed. He watched as the cat grabbed Fong Yuan's face with its claws and dragged her into the divine artifact. Only then did he look at Old Manly and said with a smile, Instructor, you've worked hard. How am I working hard? Of course I've worked hard. Fong Ping looked at him, squinting and smiling. At this juncture, powerhouses can't leave. The weak are useless. As for you, you'll have to work harder. There are 3,000 children here. They're too young. Without anyone to comfort and take care of them, can they survive in the endless void? What if they encounter any danger? You're too suitable. Without the restriction of the origin and Tao, you can be a nanny for a while. Not a nanny. It's pretty good. Old Man Li's expression changed. You, don't you. Fong Ping interrupted him. Can you rival the Celestial Emperor and the rest now? Even if you've broken 9, so what if there's one more or one less? Other powerhouses will be discovered too easily. You won't be able to. Your aura isn't even as powerful as some rank 9s. You don't have a Tao or an origin. You're not even considered a beginner. This is good. I feel that you're about to transcend the 3 realms. Even if I lose, the Celestial Emperor won't be able to find you. That's why I'll only be at ease if you bring them away. Fong Ping sighed. The others are either too weak, or their Tao is restricted, or they're key figures. As for you, your presence isn't strong. If you disappear, so be it. Not many people will care. You've even been a teacher. These children will need your care and education in the future. Fong Ping grinned. I'm also afraid that my round face will be bullied. 3,000 people isn't a small number. What if they're bullied? Teacher, you'll have to bear the burden. I'll leave everything to you. Old Man Li's face turned green. You want me to be a deserter now? No, you understand better than I do. Living is more painful, isn't it? Fong Ping looked at him with a burning gaze. You're old, not a child. I won't use those words to convince you. But you understand that facing a strong enemy head-on is actually easier than your mission. 3,000 people. This is humanity's last hope. Among them are my younger sister and a large number of descendants of powerhouses who fought for humanity. If everyone wants to live a carefree life, this mission won't be easy. For a powerhouse like you to avoid the battle and become a babysitter, I think this mission is more important than you killing an emperor. I don't know if there's any danger in the endless void. I don't know how long this divine artifact can last. Those children don't have the ability to solve these problems. Only you, old man, have the ability to solve these problems. I don't know if you can walk out of the three realms. Can you go to another universe? If you encounter a second universe with life, can they survive there? Fang Ping said seriously, No, only you, old man, can. Teacher, please. Old man Li's expression was ugly. At this juncture, his longevity sword wanted to leave. Fang Ping wanted him to leave, to take care of those children, to protect those children. He knew that what Fang Ping said was partly right, but to let go of his sword, go into the divine artifact, and accompany a group of children, he still could not accept it. Fang Ping, old man Li's voice was low. Although my ability is not as good as yours, I think I can become stronger. The more I fight, the stronger I get. Protect these children. There's no need for me. Then who should go? Fang Ping smiled. Now that the immortal origin is broken, there aren't many people who can be controlled. All of them are useful. Moreover, this origin Tao is useful in the three realms. If we go to other universes, will it still be useful? Old man, you're different. You're really taking in all Taoists to help yourself. Don't tell me you want me to hand these people over to outsiders. Having said that, Fang Ping said sincerely, We're enough to kill the enemy. If I don't have this ability now, you'll be a good helper. But now your strength has broken 9, and you've just broken 9, so you won't be of much help to me. On the other hand, protecting these people is more important. I haven't arranged for anyone to protect them and guide them all this while, hoping that you, old man, can step forward yourself. Now it seems like I can only do it. Teacher, please. Old man Li's expression was gloomy. After a while he said in a hoarse voice, All right, I'll go. As he said that, he looked at Fang Ping, his eyes suddenly turning red. You be careful. Don't worry. Fang Ping laughed. Looking at old man Li in front of him, who was already shorter than him, he laughed and said, When have I ever failed? It had never happened before. Have some confidence in me. You're here just in case. I'll look for you guys later. Having said that, Fang Ping exhaled and said, Teacher, go in. Old man Li did not expect that he would leave at this time. He was a little unwilling and a little aggrieved. However, since Fang Ping had already said it to this point, he could not refuse. Yes, the other powerhouses could not leave. Only he could leave and take care of these people. But he was really too unwilling. Old man Li was still struggling. Fang Ping suddenly kicked his butt. With a rumble, the old man was smashed into the door. Fang Ping scolded. Old man, you're being unreasonable until now. If I tell you to go, then go. You talk too much nonsense. I didn't want to hit you at first, but you forced me. Big cat, come out. Old man Li, who was kicked in, had a bitter expression. He turned his head and gave him a glance, sighing softly. After this goodbye, would they ever meet again? The next moment, a cat dashed out, saying happily, Liar, I left Cat 4 inside. Next time, Lil, chubby face, can play with Cat 4. Old man, remember to take care of Cat 4. Feed Cat 4 more delicious food. Brother, the sound of crying could be heard. Fang Ping did not look or listen anymore. He sealed the divine artifact directly. Everyone's silhouettes disappeared. The next moment, many human powerhouses appeared around Fang Ping. These people looked at the sealed divine artifact, each of them silent. Many of them had descendants among them. Li Changxing followed him in, and they felt much more at ease. However, after this goodbye, would they ever meet again? No one could answer this question. Not even Fang Ping. Fang Ping said no more. A rift void appeared in front of him. After ninth heaven shattered and the three realms merged, it became harder to open the rift void. There seemed to be another universe in this rift. As for Fang Ping, he was not interested in exploring this endless darkness. After tearing the void, Fang Ping placed the divine artifact inside. With a sudden force, the shuttle-like divine artifact disappeared before his eyes. Fang Ping seemed to hear Fang Yuan's cries and old man Li's choking voice. He waved his hand slightly, watching the divine artifact disappear. It was quiet all around. Fang Ping closed the void. Everything disappeared completely. Goodbye. I hope we can meet again. Chapter 14, 75. In the void. The third day after Fang Yuan and the others left. Fang Ping stood proudly in the void. Behind him, many human powerhouses stood. In the sky, a figure seemed to appear above the sun. Celestial Emperor. Fang Ping, have you thought it through? Celestial Emperor smiled. Don't do anything stupid. The choice is very important. Can you really maintain your second origin source forever? The three realms are seeking survival. I'm only seeking survival. Those who die are just ants, aren't they? Ants. Fang Ping said coldly, all right, if you want to kill and repair the origin, then kill the catacombs martial artists and release the human martial artists. I will naturally talk to you. Fang Ping, Celestial Emperor, walked out of the sun with a look of pity. Why don't you understand? In the three realms, only powerhouses are eternal. How long can those rank 9 martial artists and true god martial artists live? 1,000 years, 10,000 years? And we, how long can we live? Celestial Emperor laughed. We might live for 100,000 years, 1,000,000 years, or even eternity. I don't have to exterminate you or kill you. If you are willing to prove your Tao, the Tao fruit is under my control. I promise you can live. I won't use the Tao fruit to threaten you or enslave you. I just don't want the origin to have any more problems. Celestial Emperor said softly, this time if the origin can be repaired successfully, then we don't have to worry about the origin anymore. The origin can be closed or opened again, allowing the origin to appear in the three realms again. It will be more complete. Fang Ping, using the lives of millions of people in exchange for the peace of the three realms. Are you not willing? Celestial Emperor's voice was loud, spreading throughout the three realms. He laughed. Whether it's humans, demons, the land realm, or beginner martial artists, I only need those martial artists who are controlled by the immortal source to repair the origin, to make this origin perfect. I only need those martial artists who are rank 9 and above. There are not even 10 million people. Using the lives of millions of people in exchange for the peace of the three realms. Are you not willing? Martial King, human king, you say that I am selfish, but have you ever thought that I am the selfish one? Celestial Emperor said loudly, if the origin is not repaired, more and more people will die. If the origin exists, stepping into the origin is inevitable. Sooner or later, the sea of misery will devour the three realms. Only by mending the source can the origin Tao be opened at will, and the problem can be solved, the Celestial Darch sighed and said, ask the three realms, how many people are willing to fight for you? The Celestial Emperor said regretfully, it's not that I didn't know that you sent your family away, but I didn't stop you because we could have talked it over. Slaughter, even the destruction of the three realms. Is that really what you want to see? After Fang Ping and the rest sent some people away, he understood that these people might start a war. The Celestial Thearcha's voice shook the three realms. He wanted to tell the three realms that it wasn't that he was heartless. Everything he did was for the good of the three realms, for the sake of peace in the three realms. Was it worth sacrificing less than 10 million warriors in exchange for peace in the three realms? The Celestial Darch smiled. The human heart was the most unpredictable. Was it worth it? I don't want to die. No. Your Majesty, we don't want to die. Lord Human King, Lord Martial King, didn't you humans say that all lives are equal? Their lives are lives and so are ours. There are tens of billions of living beings in the three realms. Since Lord Celestial Darch can repair the origin, why let us become your sacrifices? Shouts came one after another. Some were indignant, some were angry, and some were rebuking. Why do they have to follow Fong Ping and the rest and mess around? It would be best if those rank 9 and above died. The Celestial Darch didn't want to kill everyone. Before this, everyone thought that they would die, but now they saw an opportunity. They saw hope. At this moment, in the Catacombs continent, countless people roared loudly. Countless people knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. They begged Fong Ping and the rest not to start a war with the Celestial Darch. They begged Fong Ping and the rest to have mercy on all living beings in the three realms. The Celestial Darch smiled and looked at the group of people below. The human heart. This was the human heart. Fong Ping, can't you see through it? The Celestial Darch chuckled and said slowly, "What you want to protect is not worth mentioning in the eyes of others. You think you are saving the world. In fact, you are the devils in their eyes, the demons who destroy the world." Fong Ping's expression was indifferent, a little disdainful. The catacombs is not what we want to protect. Do you think that no one in the human race will object? The Celestial Darch shook his head. At this moment, with a wave of his hand, a water screen appeared in front of him. Many people appeared in the water screen. Some were crying, some were cursing. Are Fong Ping and Zhang Tao trying to kill us? What does killing those people have to do with us? Humans. In the screen, a middle-aged man cursed loudly. He even walked out of the door, shouting that everyone should not be sacrificed by these powerhouses. Fong Ping, Zhang Tao, are these the humans you are protecting? The Celestial Darch chuckled and said, "This is the belief in your hearts? How childish. In the past, I also thought so and did so, but you know?" The Celestial Darch sighed and said, "More than 30,000 years ago, I was traveling in the continent. At that time, the continent was in chaos. The martial god and sword god fought and affected the Heaven Division. The Heaven Division was destroyed, and the survivors were less than 100. The Celestial Darch shook his head and said, "When I rushed back, everything had already happened. I saved the survivors, but do you know how they treated me?" The Celestial Darch said sorrowfully, "They scolded me, said that I should not have traveled to the continent. They were angry at me, said that I should not have come back so late. This is the tribe I am protecting, the Heaven Division, one am protecting." "You think that I want to avenge the tribe?" The Celestial Darch chuckled and shook his head. "No, I just don't want all this to happen again. The three realms actually does not need love, does not need protection. These ants do not need to be too good to them. As long as they have food to eat and don't starve to death, it's fine. Cultivating martial arts, cultivating Tao, these are our prerogatives. What virtue or ability do they have? What right do they have to blame us after obtaining everything under our protection?" The Celestial Darch laughed and said, "Therefore, the true peace of the three realms is not what you think, but the separation of gods and humans. We are gods, they're humans, ants. When we need them, they should sacrifice for us, die for us. Now, I need them to help me repair the source land, repair the source, so they should do it." The Celestial Darch smiled and looked at the people below. "This is the true martial path, the true immortal path. There is no need for everyone to become immortals. There is no need for so many martial artists, so many powerhouses. Today, use the Tao of these people to repair the source land. Then the three realms will naturally be at peace. We can continue to be our immortals. Isn't that good? There are no martial artists who can fly everywhere. Only us." The Celestial Darch looked at the crowd and smiled. "What do you think?" King Wu's expression was calm. "Celestial Darch, what do you mean by revealing all this?" Zhang Tao didn't care if some of the billions of people were not determined. Even a true god could not make billions of people be united. He was not a god. Zhang Tao also waved his hand, and images appeared in front of him. "Don't listen to that bastard's words. If it weren't for those powerhouses to protect us, we would have been destroyed long ago. Everyone, have you forgotten how we managed to survive all these years? How we lived so happily? Martial arts must be fought. Either we die standing, or we live kneeling, or we die kneeling. Are you willing to kneel? Beat this bastard to death. In the images, some old people and even children were beating the middle-aged man from before. Zhang Tao smiled faintly. Celestial Darch, this is the human heart. It is not something that can be reversed by creating some special cases. We don't stop you from killing millions of martial artists today, but tomorrow we will kill billions of living beings to repair your origin. The day after tomorrow, if we are in the mood, we may destroy the world. We don't care today, we don't care tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow we will be the ones to die. At that time, kneeling is already kneeling, but we will still be killed. In that case, why don't I take advantage of the fact that I haven't knelt and fight with you? Zhang Tao smiled happily and said loudly, Is the human race willing to kneel and wait for death? No. The roar of the human race sounded everywhere in the three realms continent. Army after army, chi and blood, rushed to the sky, shaking the three realms. One by one, the lone warriors cheered loudly. Sacrificing those powerhouses today, they didn't even have their last umbrella of protection. At that time, it would be too late for regret. The human race had long been enlightened. They were not stupid people, except for a few people who were greedy for life and feared death. How many of the billions of people were willing to believe in the Celestial Darch? Zhang Tao laughed loudly and said, Celestial Darch, this three realms is no longer the three realms of the past. The people have long been enlightened. Do you think what you said is useful? This is not an era where people eat raw meat and drink blood, nor is it an era where the people are still ignorant. The people of the three realms, especially the human race, they have their own beliefs, they have their own persistence. If you really pity the people, why don't you give up the immortal source? We will think of ways to help you stabilize the source. What do you think? Zhang Tao smiled brightly. Beside him, Fang Ping said lightly he wouldn't dare. This kind of person has long become a demon, since according to what he said, there were still some survivors in the Heaven Division back then. Then what about the people? I'm afraid they have all died long ago, killed by him. This kind of person, will he pity others? He only cares about himself. Fang Ping said impatiently, Don't use those bewitching methods of yours. You can't afford to lose face, other than some idiots in the three realms. Who will believe it? When it comes to this, I'm your ancestor. I can't be bothered to bewitch people. You still want to bewitch them. Only some idiots in the catacombs will believe it. Who else will believe it? As he said that, Fang Ping said coldly, Are you exchanging or not? 3 for 4 emperors. If you want exchange, then exchange. If not, then stop talking nonsense. Celestial Emperor said with a faint smile, Are you willing to exchange? It was because he sensed them sending people away that Celestial Emperor felt that these people did not want exchange at all. Did Fang Ping really think that he could not see it at all? Fang Ping said bluntly, Exchange, but it's not the 3 emperors who break their own Tao. It depends on your ability. 3 open, if you have the ability, then naturally you can break their Tao. If not, then why did you break it? You send the 4 emperors out. I'll let the 3 emperors open the way. This is the bargaining chip. If you agree, then we'll exchange. If not, then forget it. Fang Ping said it clearly. Breaking the Tao was impossible. If you have the ability, you break it yourself. He would expose the location of the 3 emperors' Tao. If you have the ability, you solve it yourself. And this position for the 4 emperors. Celestial Emperor laughed. Hands behind his back, looking at Fang Ping, Celestial Emperor smiled like the sun. Fang Ping, do you really think the Tao left behind by the 3 emperors can be used? If the 3 of them are still alive, then they will naturally leave some trouble for me, but they are dead. Celestial Emperor sighed and said, Dead? It said that it's the 3 emperors' Tao, but in fact it's just a small opening. In the past, Yang God left such a big opening, and I can solve it. Do you really think that I can't solve the opening left by the 3 of them? Fong Ping was no longer cold and sneered. If you're so awesome, then don't exchange. Celestial Emperor looked at him and said slowly, You're still young. Do you really want to fight me? Cheong and Do have thought about it for many years, but they don't dare. At this moment, Celestial Emperor was very calm. They're afraid that I'll kill them, so they only dare to do some small things and dare not be my enemy. Do you think you're stronger than them? You'll know when you try. Young. Celestial Emperor sighed. The passion of young people, maybe he really did not understand. He smiled and did not continue this topic. Celestial Emperor Tread Air returned, his back facing everyone, and said with a smile, If that's the case, then come in. The Tao of the 3 emperors has appeared. I will naturally let the 4 of them go. They're just slightly bigger ants. This emperor will not go back on his words. Do you dare to come? Fong Ping's expression did not change, and also followed Tread Air, walking step by step toward the sun. Ambushing Celestial Emperor. He had never thought of this. It was almost impossible. He just wanted to set the place of the decisive battle in the Source Land. It was better than a war in the 3 realms. As he walked, Fong Ping said, Can Celestial Emperor move the Source Land to misery? Otherwise, this movement is too big, and the 3 realms are destroyed. I think the immortal Source might not have a good ending. Celestial Emperor smiled and did not say anything. However, the huge sun in the sky, including the Source Land behind the sun, was now moving toward misery. Celestial Emperor controlled the relocation of the Source Land while saying, Fong Ping, you're very special. You came from inside the seed. In fact, if you're willing to cooperate with me, maybe we have a chance to get rid of the seed's control. You can enter the inside of the seed, but we can't. Sometimes it's easier to destroy everything from the inside than from the outside. Celestial Emperor seemed to know everything, chuckling and saying, Jean is very talented and has a lot of ideas. In the past, actually, I also talked to him, hoping that he would cooperate with me, and so did Yang. Unfortunately, Yang is too stupid. He always thinks that it doesn't matter to him. As long as he's happy, he doesn't need to care about anything else. But he doesn't understand. Even if you don't care, there will always be someone who cares. And John cares too much. In this 3 realms, Celestial Emperor only recognized John and Yang, feeling that only these 2 could be compared to him. Unfortunately, Yang God did not care about anything, and John cared too much about everything. In his opinion, these 2 people were flawed. Therefore, the cooperation between the 3 of them was destined to fail from the beginning. Fong Ping did not care about this, nor did he express too much hostility, following Celestial Emperor, moving toward the Source Land, laughing and saying, You wanted to destroy martial arts back then? You wanted to use the Source Land to kill all the beginner powerhouses? Celestial Emperor laughed and said, Destroy martial arts? No, I just wanted to restore the 3 realms to normal. At that time, you didn't understand the 3 realms. The powerhouses were too strong. They had already forgotten their original purpose. After the wild beasts were driven away, these people fought each other, causing chaos in the 3 realms, countless deaths and injuries. Fong Ping, don't you think that my choice back then was very similar to yours? You think that we people obstruct the 3 realms, but in reality, at that time, that group of beginner powerhouses also plunged the 3 realms into chaos. If that's the case, is it wrong for me to want to destroy them? Celestial Emperor said as he walked, You always said that the old antiques should be killed, and the path you're walking, I was walking 30,000 years ago. In reality, you and I are the same kind of people, aren't we? Fong Ping said coldly, I'm different from you. Different? Celestial Emperor laughed and said, Wrong, you and I are the same. Do you think it's wrong for me to cooperate with Seed? But Seed is the founder of the 3 realms, a god of creation. Is it really wrong for me to cooperate with it? People like Martial God have already overwhelmed the 3 realms. If it continues to develop, these people will sooner or later destroy the 3 realms in order to fight for hegemony, causing the 3 realms to be destroyed. I stopped them, Fong Ping, in ancient times after the end of the Myriad Daos battle. The 3 realms enjoyed more than 20,000 years of peace. This should be considered my credit, right? More than 20,000 years. Celestial Emperor said softly, if there was no origin Tao back then, do you think those people would go into hibernation? Do you think Dark and the others will give up on continuing the war? They won't. Celestial Emperor shook his head and said, they won't give up. Including Yang, he also has ambitions very big to turn the three realms into the world of the living. Isn't that ambition? If he wants to change the three realms into the world of the living, does he need to fight? It definitely will. He is chasing after seed. Once he really absorbs seed, do you understand? The three realms would have been destroyed long ago. So, you think I'm destroying the world. In reality, I'm saving the world. Celestial Emperor said softly, can you say that I'm doing wrong? Was it wrong? Fang Ping said nothing. Now, I need to repair the source. Otherwise, the source land won't last for many years. Once the source collapses, the three realms will be swallowed by the sea of misery. Tell me, sacrificing millions of martial artists today, is I right or wrong? Celestial Emperor said with a smile. Fang Ping, tell me, are you and I considered the same kind of people? Fang Ping said lightly, maybe what you said is right, but I won't distinguish these things. The right and wrong in your eyes are actually not worth a penny in my eyes. What I care about are these people that you don't care about, these millions of martial artists, these billions of ants. My family, relatives, friends, brothers, classmates, teachers, they are all among them. Celestial Emperor laughed again. Fang Ping, how about this? Your family and friends, I won't touch them all. Release their Tao. I only need other people to repair my source land. How about that? Your human race has more than 200,000 origin realm martial artists, your family and friends. Do you have 100 people? 1,000 people? Celestial Emperor chuckled and said, I'll let these people go, then what's your choice? Fang Ping's breathing stagnated slightly. Behind him, Heavenly King Zhen, Martial King, and the others followed. At this moment, they also heard this, but at this moment, they did not say anything. Silence. Exhaling softly, Fang Ping said indifferently, my family and friends are not just this many people. Also, those people are my comrades. Let's face the strong enemies together. Fight everywhere. Kill everywhere. They are my comrades. Are you willing to give up on collecting their Tao? Celestial Emperor said lightly, Fang Ping, actually this emperor admires you very much, and also made the biggest concession. Why do you insist on going against me? If those people from 30,000 years ago and I have hatred and grievances, do you and I have? Celestial Emperor tilted his head and looked at Fang Ping. Your hatred, your grievances have nothing to do with me, right? The killing in the land realm and the human world is just Hong's arrangement. This emperor's original intention is only to set up the immortal source, so that the three realms martial artists can fill the immortal source. As for the war between you, it is not caused by this emperor. Celestial Emperor said with a smile, I'm telling you all this just to let you understand. Hatred, actually, does not exist between you and me. You are saving the world. I am also saving the world. You hope to see a peaceful three realms, and I actually hope so too. Extinguishing martial arts or not, actually is not important. Killing some people, letting some people go, is actually not important. What's important is the result, and now the best result is that these people die, the source is repaired successfully, and the three realms will enjoy tens of thousands of years of peace. Such a life, isn't it good? Fang Ping sneered. What you said seems to make a lot of sense. Others all say that I, Fang Ping, can talk. It seems like Celestial Emperor is not far behind. Then let me ask you, if you kill these 10 million martial artists today, next time there is a problem in the source? Celestial Emperor said with a smile. Even if there is a problem again, it will be tens of thousands of years later. At that time, maybe you and this emperor have the same idea, to rebuild the immortal source again. This three realms, there is no shortage of people. Using the lives of tens of millions of martial artists in exchange for tens of thousands of years of peace. Why not? Fang Ping, when that day comes, you will understand. This is the best choice. Kill those powerhouses who are disturbing the three realms. You build your second source. I will build my first source. In the three realms, some people walk your path, some people walk my path. If there is a problem in your source, we can also use the method of a mortal source to solve it. Harvesting leaks, one after another. In Celestial Emperor's eyes, this three realms were leaks that could not be harvested completely. Today, just harvesting some leaks could be exchanged for tens of thousands of years of peace in the three realms. This was not good. There were tens of billions of living beings in the three realms. He only needed those 10 million people. Even if he did not need 10 million people, was there a need for Fang Ping to risk his life for these people? King Wu, don't you want to protect the human race? Celestial Emperor looked at Zhang Tao behind him and said with a smile, don't you not care about sacrifice? Then today, let these millions of martial artists sacrifice once to protect the human race. Are you not willing? You must know, if the war starts, if I really fight with Fang Ping, it does not matter if you kill me, I kill you. The three realms will be worse. There will be more casualties, even destruction. Celestial Emperor sighed sorrowfully. Why bother? People's hearts will change. Even if you protect the human race today, kill me. But hundreds of millions of the human race will die. Millions of families will be broken. Do you think that those who are still alive will really appreciate your kindness? Celestial Emperor sneered. They won't. They will only hate you. You are leading them to death. King Wu smiled and said, so, we still have to thank Celestial Emperor for not killing us? Your way of thinking is very strange. You want us to send hundreds of thousands of human heroes for you to kill. If we do not let you kill us, you still think that we are bad people. This way of thinking, really, I cannot agree with you. If the human race also thinks so, then this human race is no longer the human race that I, Zhang Tao, need to protect. I am a guardian. It does not mean that I am a fool. If even the heroes who have protected the human race for countless years can be handed over and sent to the guillotine, then I, Zhang, am not worthy of the word guardian. If that is the case, I would rather fight. They would also be willing to fight. As for the human race, they are also willing to fight. I believe that they will make this choice. Countless historical events have proven this point. A destroyed country is not scary. What is scary is becoming a slave of a destroyed country. Zhang Tao's expression became firm. A destroyed country is better than becoming a slave of a destroyed country. Celestial Emperor, this is our choice. Celestial Emperor shook his head and said no more. A destroyed country, a slave of a destroyed country, perhaps. Between powerhouses, it was very difficult to convince each other. He also did not do this useless thing. The void was torn open, revealing the entrance to the source. Celestial Emperor said with a smile, everyone, please. The door was wide open, inviting them to enter. The source was right in front of them. How many people dared to enter? Chapter 1476. How many dared to enter? All of them. Fang Ping stepped in directly. King Wu followed. Then Heavenly King Zhen, God Caste, and Cat came in. Not just them. Behind them, Wang Jinyang, Li Hansong, and Yao Qingjun also came in. In the source land, someone was waiting for them. In the distance, Xu Xiang, Heavenly Hound, Dragon Transformation, and Qin Fengqing were waiting for them. 12 powerhouses. Powerhouses above 9 were all captured in one fell swoop. Those related to the human race, those who were on good terms with the human race, except for Li Changsheng, who disappeared, the rest were all here. 12. In the source land, in another world, Emperor Heaven Reverse and Emperor God were watching. On the other side, Emperor Dongwang was watching. Farther away, Emperor Spirit was also watching. In the 3 realms, including Emperor Heaven, there were 17 powerhouses in the source land. There were only a few people who had broken through to the 9th level who had yet to arrive. Sun God had not arrived, Emperor West had not arrived, and Li Changsheng had not arrived. These 20 people were at the peak of the 3 realms. Today, 17 people gathered at the source land. In the Bitter Sea, West Royal Palace was revealed. Heaven's pole looked at the sky. watching those people disappear one after another. There seemed to be black dots on the sun. Heaven's Pole turned to Emperor West and said, embarrassed, "Old man, are you really not going?" Emperor West cursed in a low voice. "What am I going to do? Get myself killed? Son of a B asterisk TCH, you want me to die and give West royal palace to you, don't you?" Heaven's Pole was speechless. He said gloomily, "Nonsense. But if they fight and break the source land, you won't have a good ending either. If Fong Ping and the others lose, you won't have a good ending either. Will Emperor Heaven let you go free?" Emperor West snorted, looked up at the sky, sighed, and said gloomily, "Can't these guys stop for a few years and let me live a good life?" They had only been out for a few days. Were they going to fight? Damned bastards. None of them made him feel comfortable. At the same time when Fong Ping and the others entered the source land, Earth, another group of people gathered. Warlord, Jiang Hao, Li Zhan, Lin Zi, one by one, the Heavenly King Stage powerhouses were gathered here. After the Heavenly King Stage powerhouses, there were many veteran powerhouses. Some were saints, some were emperors. Familiar faces appeared under the sunlight. The detective department's Nan Yunyue, the Southern Guardian Palace's Wu Chuan, the Western Guardian Palace's Zhang Weiyu, the Northern Guardian Palace's Qin Haoqian, and the newly appointed Eastern Guardian Palace's Qin Yaozu. There were also a few neo-martial artists who had fought for many years. Sect Alliance Master Zhao Xingwu and Defense Master Kong Lingyuan. There were also demons, the Jiao that looked like the Tengu, the wretched-looking Jiao, and Li Wuji, who had just rushed over from the Catacombs continent. The human clan, the demon clan, the ancient martial arts experts. Celestial Emperor Xianji, who had long sought refuge with the human race, Gong Juanzi, who had reached the 7th level of Dao, Gong Yuzi, who had remained silent. They were all experts, and they were all here. This place was under Li Zhen's command today. Li Zhen looked at the sky, not saying a word. At this moment, someone arrived. The void was torn apart, and the newcomer glanced at the experts in the surroundings. He had a humble smile on his face as he softly spoke. "Nether King, it's been a long time." "It's you?" Li Zhen looked at the newcomer, his face grim. "King Huai, why haven't you been hiding? Why have you come to the human race?" King Huai chuckled. "Don't be angry, Nether King." King Huai smiled. "The 3 realms are about to fall into chaos. I saw that the various tribes of the human race have begun to kill the experts in the catacombs. I saw that Luan and Sherpa have already gone to the Chu Wu continent. I'm afraid they want to kill Chu Wu to prove their Dao. I saw that King Feng and King Qian have also gone there. They either want to fish in troubled waters, or they want to be the oriole behind the mantis, stalking the cicada. As for the Chu Wu heavenly kings, they are also prepared to fight. It seems that they all want to finish off their opponents at this time, be it the Emperor realm or the Chu Wu realm." King Huai smiled. "I thought that the human race should also be making a move. On the human race's side, I don't see many heavenly kings outside. They seem to be in the human realm, so I came to take a look." Li Zhen looked at him coldly. "Do you want to die?" I don't want to, King Huai smiled. "Don't misunderstand. I see that everyone is gathered here. Given the personalities of King Human and King Martial, they are not the kind of people who would sit around and wait for death. They will not let everyone stay idle. So many people, so many heavenly King Martial artists." King Huai looked for a while, then smiled. "Everyone, are you going to deal with those heavenly kings and Chu Wu realm martial artists? Or even kill an emperor?" King Huai sighed. "When an emperor proves his Dao, the immortal source will mature a lot. Given the personalities of King Martial and the others, they will not let the immortal source mature. As for the celestial Darch, he must have made arrangements. Today, someone will definitely prove his Dao and become an emperor. In that case, I think I should have guessed what your mission is. Kill an emperor. Kill whoever proves his Dao and becomes an emperor? Isn't that right? Kill an emperor. Yes, the purpose of these people gathering here was to kill an emperor. Previously, the Celestial Darch and Fong Ping had restrained each other. so Fang Ping and the others could not attack those Chu Wu realm martial artists. Today, both sides had entered the immortal source. Given the personalities of King Feng and the monster Arch, as well as Luan and Sherpa, they would definitely go to the Chu Wu continent today to kill the Chu Wu realm martial artists and prove their Tao and become an emperor. Regardless of whether becoming an emperor was beneficial to the human race or not, at this time, they would all become emperors. If they did not become emperors, they would be sacrifices to the immortal source. After becoming emperors, the celestial Darch would most likely not kill them. Even if he did, he would keep their Tao fruits. This was a chance to revive. If they did not become emperors, they would definitely die. Because of this, no one would give up this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. King Huai was very smart. He had guessed that the human race would not give up, would not let those people succeed. They would make a move. Li Zhen looked at King Huai and said coldly, "You want to interfere?" I don't dare. King Huai smiled. How would I dare? I just want to survive. When the immortal source matures, I will definitely die, so I also want to break through the immortal source. But my strength is limited. I also want to become an emperor, but I am only at breaking 7, still far from becoming an emperor. Since that is the case, I can't become an emperor, so I can only destroy the immortal source so that it cannot mature and the celestial Darch cannot harvest it. I am afraid of death. But at this time between certain death and certain death, I want to try. I believe that King Human and King Wu will help you kill an emperor. What do you think? King Huai smiled. It is all for survival. I am too weak. If I rely on the celestial Darch will look down on me. It is better to cooperate with you. If we can kill an emperor, we can shake the immortal source and the celestial Thearch's strength will be weakened. King Huai looked at Li Zhen and cupped his hands. Nether King, what do you think? Li Zhen looked at him coldly. On the side, where King also looked for a while and suddenly smiled. This guy is greedy for life and afraid of death, but he is not afraid of death at the crucial moment. Li Zhen, let him join us. Old Ancestor Jiang, let him join us. War King smiled. No problem. It's fine if you don't want to move with us. Stay away from us, lest we fall into your trap. If you want to attack us, we won't stop you, nor will we oppose you. But if you attack us, then you'll die. King Huai smiled. I dare not. As they spoke, another person came. Di Xing. This martial artist who had always accompanied Taoist Fengyan was also a sage, even close to the heavenly king realm. Di Xing flew through the air, looked at everyone and said in a low voice, before Lord Fengyun left, "Let me come to the human race. Whether I live or die, I will fight so that my life will not be in vain." As soon as he said that, a few more people arrived. The Ming Dynasty Di Zun, who was threatened by Fang Ping in misery. Sage Yue, who stayed to guard Wanwu Mountain after Moon's spirit disappeared, and Sage Lin Hai, who was under the celestial extermination arch. Among these people, some had broken through to the heavenly king realm, and some had become sages. They were all very powerful. Li Zhen looked around and said in a low voice, "You want to move with us?" Sage Yue chuckled. "If Nether King doesn't mind, I will move with you. Master is dead, junior sister. Sai, today if we don't become emperors, we will die. The celestial Darch wants to kill us. No matter what, fighting is better than directly sacrificing us." Boom! At this time, before the battle at the immortal source, a battle had already broken out in Chu mainland. Someone had attacked. Today, those who did not become emperors had to die. In that case, everyone had to fight, kill Chu and become emperors. As for Chu, he also hoped to kill those people, break through 9, and weaken the immortal source. At this moment, there was no room for compromise between the two sides. They could only kill. As for hoping that Fang Ping and the others could win, if the celestial Darch was so easy to kill, he would not be the celestial Darch. Seeing this, Li Zhen took a light breath and suddenly shouted, "Go to Chu mainland!" Buzz! The void shattered. a group of powerhouses rushed there. Their mission was to stop people from becoming emperors. Not even Yuan and Sherpa. Emperors were enemies. When a person became emperors, the maturity of the immortal source skyrocketed. This was something the humans could not tolerate. No one could go against it. As for the few Chu, after the turmoil, there were more heavenly kings of origin than Chu heavenly kings. Now there was also chaos. Today, Li Zhen and the others also wanted to help Chu. The underworld god and the others might not be able to resist the origin powerhouses, and they might not be able to resist the rebellious Chu powerhouses. Many Chu had already switched to origin. Today, the three realms were in chaos. Origin, Celestial Emperor, and Fong Ping saw the turmoil down below. But at this moment, the origin was quiet. Celestial Emperor watched for a while and smiled. See that? That is the human heart. Seal these people in the hope that they can become emperors. In this way, they will not become sacrifices. As for whether or not the immortal source matures after they become emperors, it has nothing to do with them. As for Chu and the others, many of them had switched to origin. Now they can't help it anymore. They all want to live. Including Sherpa and Luan, they want to live too. Therefore, they are also fighting, hoping to prove their immortal source. Fong Ping, Zhen, you don't want the immortal source to mature, but it doesn't mean others don't. They don't believe that you can defeat me. Fong Ping did not look at him. Instead, he looked at the sovereigns in the distance and smiled. Emperor God, Emperor of Heaven Reverse, do you still hope that he will let you go? Emperor God laughed. Let us go? I know that he wants us dead. How can he let us go? But aren't you the same as him? Emperor God laughed. You used to call yourself Celestial Emperor. In fact, you are the same as him. If you win, will you let us go? You won't either. As the Divine Emperor spoke, he smiled again and said, So this is your battle, not ours. Fong Ping sneered, a little disdainful. Emperor God was not angry. He said lightly, It's hard for you to defeat him. When you lose, we can try again. Maybe there's a chance. Fong Ping, don't you want to try? I prefer to kill the third party. Fong Ping's tone was cold. Emperor God laughed. No, you won't like it. If you kill us now, Celestial Emperor will not agree. Celestial Emperor, right? Celestial Emperor was also smiling. He looked at Fong Ping. They can't die now. His and Doja's origin is too deep. If I kill them, the origin will be shaken and I will be involved. So if I die, you can kill them. If I live, without you guys to worry about, I will think of a way to finish them. If I seal the origin, they won't have a chance. Killing these two would implicate Celestial Emperor. Similarly, Celestial Emperor was not too worried that these two would attack him now, because the origin was still under his control. They restrained each other for fear of harming the innocent. This was the main reason why they had not broken out in battle for so many years. Fong Ping smiled and did not say anything more. Old Wang, go to Senior Shuxiang and the others and open the 3 doors. Let the seniors leave with the Dao fruit before coming in. Now, Shuxiang and the others could not play a big role in the origin. Celestial Emperor controlled the origin. They could not exert much strength at all. Heavenly Hound said loudly, I don't want to come in anymore. I won't come back if I leave. Big Dog, do not come back. The Ash Cat yelled. Heavenly Hound was a little embarrassed. He snorted and did not say anything else. Celestial Emperor smiled and did not say anything. He watched Wang Jinyang and the others leave. He did not need to kill them. He only needed to let the 3 of them open their Dao. Open all of them so that he could control the location of the 3 Dao. That was enough. The 3 Emperors' Dao was revealed. This was not something that could be solved by killing a few people. Now, it was the chance to break through all the restraints. In the next moment, a Dao appeared in the distance in the sky. Celestial Emperor's Dao. Senior Shuxiang, get out. Fong Ping shouted. Shuxiang did not waste any time. He stretched out his hand and waved. The Dao fruit was in his hand. However, a strong suction force came from behind. A force emerged from Celestial Emperor's body and quickly dispelled the suction force. He smiled and said nothing. Shuxiang did not waste any time and quickly left through the Tao. After a while, Shuxiang appeared. This time he did not appear outside the origin, but beside Old Wang. "Thank you, young master." Shuxiang smiled. At this moment he was very happy. Staying by the young master's side, maybe this was the best ending. "Ironhead, open the way!" Fong Ping shouted. In an instant, another door opened. "Heavenly Hound, Dragon Transformation, leave." On the other side, Qin Fengqing said gloomily, "Why don't you add me in?" Celestial Emperor laughed. "If you leave and he doesn't open 3 Dao, wouldn't that be a waste of effort?" Qin Fengqing said lazily, "Whether he's stupid or not, I'm not that important. Even if the 3 of us leave, he won't let go no matter whether I leave or not. Why don't we just kill Fong Ping now? He never keeps his word." Fong Ping did not speak. Celestial Emperor did not speak either. It was as if he firmly believed that Fong Ping would open 3 Dao. Qin Fengqing was the last to leave. Qin Fengqing said lazily and did not say any more. He sighed. "Once 3 Dao are opened, Celestial Emperor will kill me. I might not be able to leave. How pitiful! Why don't we not open it? Just open 2 Dao. 3 is not bad either. I'm so kind and selfless. Old Yao, don't open the way. Let me die." Yao Qingjun glared at him and did not reply. Qin Fengqing chuckled. "Why are you glaring at me? When you open 3 Dao, that old man will definitely attack. I might not be able to leave. Celestial Emperor, don't you think so?" Celestial Emperor chuckled. "It's fine. I can wait for you to come out before attacking." He said it calmly and easily. "I can wait for you to come out." Qin Fengqing was provoked and said unhappily, "Are you looking down on me because you think I'm insignificant?" On the other side, Ironhead was sweating profusely. He opened the way to let the 2 powerhouses leave. Upon hearing that, he scolded, "I'm the main character now. Qin, you're stealing my limelight now. Do you want to be the main character? This is too much. It's rare to be the main character in this life. At this time, you, Qin Fengqing, actually want to steal the limelight. This is too much." Qin Fengqing shrugged and said helplessly, "Who treats you as the main character? You're thinking too much." Ironhead was furious. At this moment, he seemed to have forgotten where he was. He scolded angrily, "You bastard! How dare you speak to me like that? I've always suspected that you're a dog or a servant of the Celestial Thearchus family. How dare you speak to me like that?" Qin Fengqing's face was dark. "I've long disliked you. I heard that the Celestial Arch has always disliked the Heavenly Hound. Tell me, are you a descendant of the Heavenly Hound?" Woof! In the air, the Heavenly Hound, who was transporting the Dao fruits, looked at Qin Fengqing with a puzzled face. "Descendant of this Tharch? This Thearchus descendant is like this?" Qin Fengqing's face became darker. "This is too much." Ironhead wanted to find fault. Celestial Emperor looked at them playing around. He smiled and lamented, "It's good to be young." Young people were full of vigor. Unfortunately, he was also old. However, after today, he would solve all his problems, so he should not be old anymore. While the 2 were quarreling, the Heavenly Hound and Dragon Transformation had finished transporting the Dao fruits. Soon, they appeared beside Ironhead. At this moment, everyone looked at Yao Qingjun. The 3rd and final Dao were about to appear. The Celestial Emperor saw everyone's solemn expression and said with a smile, "Don't panic. I've locked onto the positions of the 3 Dao. It's only a matter of time before I break the Dao. I'm not in a hurry." He really was not in a hurry. Once he found the positions of the 3 Dao, the rest were just minor details. "Old Yao, clear the path." Boom! In the air, the 3rd Dao appeared. The Celestial Emperor looked at the sky and smiled. All 3 Dao had appeared. "Ha ha ha!" The Celestial Emperor laughed loudly. He looked at the God Emperor and Dou and said with a smile, "The two of you have been concealing the existence of the three Tao all these years. Today, I still found out." The God Emperor sighed softly. Soon he smiled and said, "If you find out, then you find out. Only when you find out is it. Dead has no value." That makes sense. The Celestial Emperor also smiled brightly. He did not watch Qin Fengqing leave with the Tao fruit. He took a light breath and looked down at the three realms, murmuring, 30,000 years ago the path was opened. Today it's time to seal the Tao. The immortal source should mature. As soon as he said that, the immortal source shone brightly. At this moment, the three realms' energy was shockingly rich. Countless martial artists broke through realms in an instant. No, it was not a breakthrough. It was not them who walked on the Tao. It was the Tao that pulled them forward. Powerful, strengthened. The origin of the Tao 1,000 miles in a day. Rumble. People kept breaking through and advancing. Some rank 6 and rank 7 martial artists even stepped into the Tao directly. Their bodies were not strong enough. Their mentality was not strong enough. When the Tao stepped, the increase was too strong. Their strength went out of control. In this instant, countless people died. The Celestial Emperor did not care. He only cared about the strength of the Tao. Among 10 million people, 100,000 people successfully advanced to rank 9. This was success. There would always be people who would not die. After planning for so many years, how could it be easily broken by Fong Ping and the others? The Tao. If you don't walk, I'll force you to. Kill. In the catacombs, the MCMAU army went crazy. One after another, powerhouses suddenly advanced. There were many catacombs martial artists. At this moment, countless people broke through to rank 9. The immortal source shone brightly. There were people constantly advancing. The immortal source was about to mature. Kill them all, Wu Quishan roared. His sword pierced through a true God realm expert, tearing his opponent into pieces. Above the immortal source, a blood vessel exploded. Blood rained down, but before it could land on the ground, it evaporated. Today, there would definitely be countless phenomena. No one had the heart to watch, no heart to feel sad. They were just seeking survival. The human race was like this, the catacombs was like this, Heavenly Emperor was like this, Fong Ping and the others were like this. At this point, there was no longer a distinction between friend and foe. Killing, perhaps, was the best way to solve the problem. And at this moment, heaven and earth shook. In the source, there was a rumble of an explosion. Heavenly Emperor's laughter was heard. You can't stop it. The immortal source will definitely mature today. You guys can't stop it. The immortal source is mature. The source is sealed. Those who enter today don't go out. Calm down. Fong Ping, who was usually talkative, did not reply at all. A long saber covered the three realms and slashed out. Kill. Kill Heavenly Emperor, and the immortal source's predicament will be solved. Bang. Chu continent. A few of the 8 breakthroughs broke through one after another. Some broke through 2 gates, some broke through 3 gates. Everyone was overjoyed. They knew that Heavenly Emperor did this on purpose. He wanted them to become stronger, to kill Chu, to become an emperor, to help him complete the transformation of the immortal source faster. Even though they knew that this fruit was poisonous, they still had to eat it. The immortal source was about to mature. Even if they did not achieve Tao, it would be soon. Once it matured, it would be their time to die. At this moment, they could only achieve Tao. Seal, trap them, intimidate them. The monster emperor roared, transforming into a Kuan Peng. Its giant claws instantly attacked Sky Arm. Formation. King Qian roared. Beside him, many divine sect martial artists appeared. These people were very powerful. There were many sages. At this moment, between heaven and earth, a giant net appeared. 36 Sage Formation. In the past, the formation used by the 36 sages to deal with the 8 kings was now used by him to seal the Chu a heavenly king. Chu, heaven and earth. On Chu's side, the heavenly kings roared. Their bodies turned into the earth, the sky, the clouds, the wind, and the rain. Blood rained down. No one cared about it anymore. Today, there was no end to the killing. The only way to stop the killing was to kill. All sorts of divine weapons and Chu divine weapons appeared. The powerhouses from all four sides were in a mess. Some wanted to achieve Tao. Some wanted to use up the powerhouse's source to delay the maturation of the immortal source. They wanted to buy time for them. Killing broke out instantly. It also reached a climax. White tiger, a mournful roar was heard. With a loud bang, the sky exploded. A huge planet exploded, and the heavens fell, and the earth cracked. A new monster, heavenly king, was killed instantly and died on the spot. Bang! Another explosion. A heavenly king who had transformed into the Chu heaven and earth was destroyed by King General. The Chu heavenly king who had transformed into the Chu heaven and earth died instantly. Blood rained down. At this moment, the three realms were bathed in blood, killing, angry roars. Even inside the catacombs, the Chu heavenly kings were killing each other. They killed the ninth grade powerhouses and the top powerhouses. They killed them to delay the maturation of the immortal source. At this moment, the hatred in their hearts was exploding. If you don't die, the immortal source will mature immediately. We will all die. Even if killing you can only delay it for a while, we will still kill you. Killing was happening everywhere. The continent formed by the fusion of Earth. At this moment, it was extremely quiet. Blood rained down continuously. In all directions, the heavens fell and the earth cracked. However, this continent was extremely quiet. The weak were praying for blessings while the powerhouses were either protecting the four directions or fighting in the four directions. This is the Golden Age. Even if it's the last moment, let us enjoy the glory of the Golden Age. At this moment, a powerhouse shouted and laughed loudly. Everyone, today we welcome the Golden Age. Chapter 1478. A flourishing age under blood. A flourishing age where countless human powerhouses fought and bathed in blood. Looking at the godlike shadows in the void, countless people wept bitterly. The powerhouses were fighting and the weak were enjoying peace. Blood peace. The martial king said, "It was better to perish than to be slaves." If there were some who did not understand before at this moment, some people understood after seeing the chaos in other continents. This was the human race. The human race did not want to be slaves. As for the catacombs, it was obvious that they wanted to be slaves. They were also struggling to survive, but they did not have the protection of powerhouses like the neo-martial artists. They did not have the unity of the neo-martial artist spirit. At this moment, the entire catacombs was in chaos. Fighting broke out. Blood flowed like a river. Those above rank 9 were fighting. Those below rank 9 were also fighting. The more they killed, the stronger they became. The more they killed, the fewer powerhouses there were, and the later the immortal source matured. This way, he would be able to live for a period of time. Only the human race was still resisting the enemy, not in chaos. The huge Earth continent was filled with the sounds of fighting and screams. Only the human continent was still prosperous. In the pouring rain of blood, everyone was looking at the godlike shadows, praying for them. They hoped that the human race could prosper forever. They hoped that the human powerhouses could defeat the enemy and live forever. However, how could there not be deaths when the war started? Even if the catacombs, beginner martial artists, and demon top-notch powerhouses were not as many as the human race, there were still many middle-level and low-level powerhouses. At this moment in the void, suddenly a godlike shadow collapsed. Fallen! The shadows of the human powerhouses were now guarding the human race, guarding the human continent. At this moment, in the southwest corner, a shadow collapsed. Those who could display the godlike shadow were at least desperate realms. And now fallen, killed on the spot by a demon powerhouse. southwest corner. In an army, a young man's eyes were about to pop, wailing loudly. Father! Bai Yin. In the past, Nanjiang Martial Arts University's student who participated in the first Martial Arts University Championship was a peak rank, one like Fang Ping. His father was a high-ranking member of the Nanjiang military. Today, the southwest border was guarded by 3 provinces' powerhouses. Bai Yin's father was one of them, a desperate realm powerhouse. His mission was to stop all wandering powerhouses from entering Earth. And now, Bai Yin's father had died in battle. Father! Bai Yin's eyes felt like they were going to split apart. He roared out explosively, and the great Tao condensed in the sky as he verified the peak of the Tao. Kill! Bai Yin instantly charged towards the front lines. Protect Earth. Their mission was to protect Earth and prevent it from being disturbed by other parties. They wanted to enjoy the last period of prosperity and peace. His father had died in battle, and a hole had appeared in the defensive line. Some powerful demons were about to enter Earth. These demons had already gone crazy. The entire Catacombs continent, the Chu continent, and even the Embittered Sea were fighting and killing. Only Earth was safer and more peaceful. These humans and demons all wanted to enter Earth. Whether it was to create a massacre or to avoid the chaos of war, Earth was the only place where they could take a breather. There were also some people who wanted to carry out their final madness. The humans had been massacring the various continents, so they also wanted to take revenge on the human race. At this moment, a large number of powerhouses began to charge toward Earth. Boom! The battle resumed. On the front lines, experts fought against the heavens and the Earth with their flesh and blood. Blood flowed like rivers, and corpses were strewn everywhere. Charge! Kill my way into the human world. The human race wants to slaughter the 3 realms. If we kill our way into the human world, the human race powerhouses won't dare to kill wantonly. This is the only way to survive. Kill our way in and hide in the human world. The human race powerhouses won't dare to act recklessly, some people roared. Some demons transformed into their true forms, covering the sky. Only by killing their way into the human world and making the human race powerhouses hesitate would they have a chance to survive. Otherwise, they would soon be killed by the human race powerhouses. The massacre began. There was endless killing at the border. In the north, Han Su was fighting one against 3 Emperor Realm powerhouses. Han Su, who had just entered the Emperor Realm not long ago, was now covered in wounds. Boom! A crab-like demon's pincer exploded the void. Han Su quickly retreated, but his calf was still cut off by the pincer. Blood gushed out. Han Su's face was covered in blood. His face, hidden under his ferocious expression, was extremely pale. He couldn't hold on anymore. He couldn't fight 3 emperors alone. A large number of human powerhouses were killing the Catacombs powerhouses. Some of them went to the Chu continent to support the beginner powerhouses. At this moment, the human race's defense line was shaky. He couldn't retreat. Kill! The spear was like a dragon, mixed with specks of blood. With one thrust, the 3 emperors had countless more wounds. Kill him. This person is the human CCMAU's #1 powerhouse. If we kill him, CCMAU's defense line will definitely collapse. The 3 emperors seem to know Han Su. This genius martial artist, who was the same age as Fang Ping, was not a nobody. If Han Su was killed, CCMAU's defense line would have 1 less top powerhouse. Die. Han Su waved his spear and roared again and again. His aura was like a dragon, but he still couldn't stop himself from getting injured. His injuries were getting more and more serious. He was about to be killed by one of the demon powerhouses on the spot. At this moment, an axe broke through the air. Boom! This axe directly broke the demon's giant claw. Han Su, your sister is here. Someone laughed loudly. In the distance, the petite Ling Yi stepped on the air and called back her giant axe. Her body was also covered in blood and wounds. Just a few minutes ago, this female martial artist who was competing with Fang Ping for first place in rank 3 had just killed an emperor powerhouse. Now she came to the rescue. I am the CCMAU's #1 powerhouse. When did it become Han Su's turn? Ling Yi hooted. She held the giant axe in her hand. The giant axe was bigger than her. Holding the axe, she attacked quickly. She said angrily, "Have I, Ling Yi, been forgotten? CCMAU's #1 powerhouse? I am." At the back, Han Su, who was panting, watched Ling Yi fight 3 powerhouses alone, killing the other party and forcing them to retreat. He could not help but laugh. "Senior, isn't CCMAU's #1 powerhouse Senior Li?" "Bah!" Ling Yi scolded. "He's a traitor. He betrayed CCMAU long ago and went to MCMAU. That's a guy from MCMAU. I am the CCMAU's #1 powerhouse." Han Su panted and recovered his vitality. He chuckled. "Be careful that Senior Li comes after you. I'm afraid of him." Ling Yi's axe cracked the giant crab's shell. She said arrogantly, "If he can come back alive, then he'll come after me." Come back alive. Could she do it? She did not know. And could she wait until Senior Li came back to find trouble with her? Ling Yi's heart was bitter. She did not know. She hoped that day would come. The catacombs powerhouses had gone crazy. The demons had gone crazy. The powerhouses of Chu mainland had gone crazy. At this moment, battles were erupting in all directions. Many people were attacking Earth's defense line. Some people were fighting to survive, some people were seeking revenge, and some people were fighting to reduce the number of powerhouses. Han Su recovered for a moment. He quickly joined the battle. The 2 of them were fighting 3 venerable emperors. Gradually, they gained the upper hand. At this moment, someone roared in anger in the distance. Boom! The sound of self-destruction was heard. Han Su did not turn around. He did not even look. His eyes were glistening with tears. A CCMAU's top powerhouse had self-destructed. Zhang Jingguang, the student who also represented CCMAU and participated in the first martial arts university championship, had self-destructed at that moment. There were too many powerhouses. There were more than 10 true gods attacking the defense line. Radiant, someone roared in anger. He was grief-stricken. His iron fist punched out. With a boom, a true god powerhouse exploded. Fang Wenxiang, the descendant of Donghu Fang family, a member of CCMAU's first martial arts university championship. He was a genius martial artist, second only to Han Su. His grandfather was a veteran grandmaster and a good friend of Lu Fengru. However, because her daughter died in the catacombs, Lu Fengru did not have a good relationship with him. During the first championship, she even specially ordered Fang Ping that if he did not defeat Fang Wenxiang of the Donghu Fang family, he would deal with Fang Ping when he returned. At this moment, Fang Wenxiang's iron fist shook the sky. He killed a true god powerhouse with one punch. But soon, 3 true god powerhouses surrounded him. "Wenxiang, be careful!" Someone rushed to the front line again and began to stabilize the defense line. They could not participate in the peak battle. They could not even go to other continents to fight. However, it was their responsibility to protect Earth's defense line. The military department had ordered that as long as one person survived, powerhouses from other continents were not allowed to enter Earth. Defend against the enemy. For hundreds of years, humans had always adhered to this policy and principle. Killing only happened outside of Earth. As long as the powerhouses were not destroyed, there would be prosperity. Kill! Kill! Han Su and the others roared one after another. Rumble. Behind them, countless energy cannons began to bombard the catacombs, bombarding the martial artists who were all over the mountains and plains. Flesh and blood flew everywhere, and corpses were everywhere. The 3 realms were in complete chaos. Rumble. Sounds of self-destruction rang out. Some were from humans, and some were from other continents. At this juncture, on the brink of destruction, who would not fight with their lives? The sounds of self-destruction were endless. Blood sabers constantly condensed. The blood saber art, which perished together with humans, appeared frequently today. Human powerhouses fell one after another in the rumbling sound. Godlike phantoms became fewer and fewer. However, the defense line on all four sides was still impregnable. No matter how many powerhouses attacked, the rear was still prosperous and peaceful. They had done it to protect the human race. In the 100 years of new martial arts, what was strong was not martial arts, but the heart of martial arts, the heart of protection. This was passed down by the older powerhouses. At the beginning of martial arts, the martial arts universities and the military department all demanded that the enemy be defended against the enemy outside. Killing outside of Earth. Death was today's theme. However, the number of powerhouses who died was still not as many as the number of powerhouses who were born. The Great Path today drove everyone forward. Even if 1 in 1,000 people stepped into the origin, among these tens of billions of people, there would be countless people who could step into rank 9. The immortal source was getting hotter and hotter, brighter and brighter. The immortal source was also maturing faster and faster. In the source, Celestial Emperor was smiling. Opposite, Fang Ping's expression was solemn. Celestial Emperor was very strong. Even if Fang Ping's combat strength had skyrocketed, at this moment, when fighting with Celestial Emperor, he was still retreating. Very strong. Celestial Emperor praised. He was praising Fang Ping. In this 3 realms, you, Sun God, and I have all broken through that limit. You are very strong. Even John, who had not achieved Tao in the past, could not reach this level. You are already stronger than John in the past. It's a pity, Celestial Emperor said regretfully. It's a pity that you have just entered this realm. Your strength has skyrocketed, and your second source is also not stable. How can you be a match for me? I stepped into this realm 30,000 years ago. If you and I fought 30,000 years ago, you could still be a match for me, but today you can't. Yes, Fang Ping had already stepped into the realm of him and Sun God. However, vitality had been reached, but it did not mean that everything had been reached. Compared to him and Sun God, Fang Ping was still a little lacking. Even with the help of Heavenly King subduing and Martial King at their realm, the 2 of them might be able to fight against Dong Huang and the others, but against him the difference was too big. If I can't, how long can you last? Fang Ping sneered, his figure like light, holding a saber and attacking. His voice was heard. Godfather, old Zhang, go and break the immortal source. Let's see what he can do. 2 figures like light and shadow left in an instant, attacking the immortal source. At this moment, Dong Huang appeared. Dong Huang blocked the 2 of them. Heavenly King, subduing's face turned green. How? You want to help the evildoer? Dong Huang sighed and said, No, I just don't want the 2 of you to make a big mistake. Celestial Emperor has long been guarding against you, destroying the immortal source. Now, the energy of the 3 realms is almost all absorbed by the immortal source to cultivate a large number of martial artists. If the immortal source is broken, it is no longer the source that Celestial Emperor controls, including the 3 realms continent. Once the immortal source is broken, the 3 realms continent will lose its energy support, collapse, and be swallowed by the sea of bitterness. Dong Huang showed a helpless look, sighed, and said, The immortal source cannot be broken. At this moment, we can only stop Celestial Emperor from absorbing the immortal source. Stop the immortal source from maturing. On the other side, Celestial Emperor laughed lightly. The clouds were light and the wind was gentle. His defense was airtight. He let Fang Ping attack, smiled, and said, It is not only you who want to break the immortal source, Cheong Do. Don't they want to? They want it too. Unfortunately, if I don't die, if I don't lose control of the immortal source, how can you break the immortal source? The immortal source was very important to him, very important to the source. How could he not make preparations at all? It was fine to break a few people's Tao, but if it was broken too much, When the immortal source collapsed, the energy of the three realms would all collapse, the three realms continent would collapse, completely swallowed by the sea of bitterness. You break! Then kill him! King Wu roared, turned, and continued to attack Celestial Emperor. Since Celestial Emperor had already done something to the immortal source, if he wanted to break the immortal source, it would mean that the three realms and the immortal source would perish together. King Zhan Wang roared, "Blacksmith, you go! See how the immortal source breaks! Hurry up!" The god creation envoy did not delay and quickly flew towards the immortal source. "Spirit, kill the creation!" Celestial Emperor snorted. The god creation envoy, the creator of the immortal source. This fellow might really find a way to break it. The Spirit Emperor did not say a word, and quickly rushed towards the god creation envoy. On the other side, Xu Xiang and the others did not hold back and rushed towards the Spirit Emperor. At this juncture, he was either a friend or an enemy. If the heavenly cat dog and the others did not make a move, they would not be able to stop the others from making a move. These people all rushed towards the Spirit Emperor. As for the Spirit Emperor, at this moment her battle prowess was also unparalleled, and there were even signs of her breaking through 100 million. With a cold face, the few experts that she killed kept retreating, and the God Creation Envoy was her main target. The God Creation Envoy's battle prowess was not considered strong, and was killed by the Spirit Emperor's sword until her flesh and blood flew everywhere. Meow! Woof woof! At this moment, a cat and a dog broke through the air. Big Fatty! The cat rubbed its teary eyes, no longer as lazy as usual, and cried out sorrowfully, "Big Fatty, what are you doing?" "Spirit Emperor, do you really have to hook up with the Heavenly Emperor?" The Heavenly Hound also roared, 20,000 years ago, you protected the stupid cat. Although this emperor does not like you, this emperor still remembers your kindness of protecting us. Today, that old fellow wants to kill us, and you still want to be in cahoots with him. Kill the stupid cat. Kill this emperor? The Spirit Emperor's expression was indifferent as he said coldly, "Protecting you? It's only the order of the Heavenly Emperor. There's no need to be grateful, because there's no kindness in the first place." Woof! The Heavenly Hound was enraged. Its eyes flashed with a fierce light as it opened its mouth to devour the heavens and earth, biting towards the Spirit Emperor. "Stupid cat, there's no need to show mercy. Kill her!" The Heavenly Hound roared. Different paths do not work together. Since the Spirit Emperor insisted on helping the evildoer, then kill her! Boom! The great battle began. Many experts rushed toward Ling Huang to kill him. Not far away, the Eastern Emperor frowned slightly. Although the Spirit Emperor was not weak, there were too many people surrounding her. If this continued, the Spirit Emperor would definitely die. Heavenly Emperor! The Eastern Emperor glanced at the Heavenly Emperor with a faint anger on his face. The Heavenly Emperor was indifferent and did not care about him. He knew that the Eastern Emperor and the Spirit Emperor were close. This was also an overt plot. Would he save her or not? If he did not save her, the Spirit Emperor would definitely die. Humph! The Eastern Emperor snorted coldly, his eyes revealing a faint, blood-red glow, no longer as calm as usual. The blood-red glow flashed and disappeared. In the next moment, he blocked in front of several experts. He did not say anything, nor did he explain anything. He wanted to protect the Spirit Emperor. The Eastern Emperor was a top powerhouse who was not weaker than the earthly emperor. At this moment, when he joined the battle, he instantly suppressed the others. On the other side, the Heavenly King Zhen and the Martial King originally wanted to help Fang Ping, but at this moment they had no choice but to grit their teeth and attack the Eastern Emperor. At this moment, there was no time for them to hesitate. Whether or not the Eastern Emperor would kill them, they would not let the Eastern Emperor have this chance. Boom! The battle became more and more intense, and the battle between Fang Ping and the Heavenly Emperor had also affected the entire source. Fang Ping destroyed layers of heaven and earth. The Heavenly Emperor was still focused on defense. After blocking Fang Ping's attacks again and again, he still had a smile on his face as he said slowly, "Fang Ping, you want to kill me. Do you think you can do it?" Fang Ping was very strong, he did not deny this. But killing him was really not enough. If he couldn't kill him, after the celestial source matured, no matter how strong Fang Ping was, he would be trapped in the source until he died. In the three realms, there was only one person who could help Fang Ping, the Sun God. But the Sun God was still entangled with the seed. Without the Sun God's help, how could Fang Ping kill him? Boom! The battle in the source was getting more and more intense. In the three realms, the killing was getting more and more frenzied. Die! An angry roar shook the heaven and earth. Between the heaven and earth, a huge figure appeared. Heavenly arms were like dragons, and he grabbed King Jen. Die! Heavenly arm roared, and a rumbling sound was heard. King Jen's body was crushed, and the Tao appeared. At this moment, the illusory mentality erupted, and the mentality directly turned into a shadow, killing into the Tao. Break! The two top powerhouses roared. King Jen's shadow appeared, and with a ferocious expression he laughed. The three realms should have been destroyed a long time ago. Even if I die, I won't have an easy time. Someone was watching him die. The monster, the Arch, and the others had the ability to save him, but they refused to do so. He hated the three realms to the core. Don't think about it. Rumble. With a loud bang, a giant star that looked like the sun exploded in the sky. King Jen self-destructed. Heavenly arms were broken, and the illusory mentality exploded. The others were affected. King Jen had just broken through two gates. At this moment, when he self-destructed, the weaker heavenly kings nearby were blown into pieces. The moment the giant star exploded, a strong force surged into Heavenly Arm's body. Heavenly Arm's expression changed slightly, and in the next moment his blood boiled, and his strength increased by another 30%. Powerful! This was what the Celestial Arch said. There were benefits in killing the source, and there were also benefits in killing the beginner martial artists. It was to provoke both sides to fight to the death. At the same time, another explosion sounded. Heavenly Arm turned his head and roared, "Saint Martial!" Fire God's disciple, the Heavenly King who fought with Fang Ping and the others in the past. Now he was directly blown up by the monster the Arch. Before his life force could dissipate, he was swallowed by the monster the Arch. He died without a burial. Death, death. It could be seen everywhere on the battlefield. On the other side, the god of the underworld was fighting against Feng, King Qian, Sherpai, and Luan alone. Huan and Heavenly Arms surrounded King Jen and didn't dare to slow down. They rushed over. Just as Heavenly Arm left and Huan moved, a huge cauldron fell from the sky. With a loud bang, Huan's body exploded. Huan was only strong in terms of mentality. His body wasn't strong. In the void, the Palm Seal envoy walked out slowly. After Li Zhu died, the Palm Seal envoy didn't show himself. At this moment, he suddenly attacked with 1,000-world cauldron, catching Huan off guard. Even though everyone was wary of him in the beginning, now that the battle had reached this point, no one was interested in caring about him anymore. The Palm Seal envoy walked out of the void. He was one of the 3 envoys in the past. Now he was extremely powerful. The 1,000-world cauldron was a divine weapon that could suppress everything. "Brother Huan, don't blame me," the Palm Seal envoy chuckled. Flames rose from the 1,000-world cauldron and quickly refined Huan's mentality. Huan kept roaring, but he couldn't break free from the 1,000-world cauldron. This cauldron was refined by the earthly sovereign. "It's to repay me for teaching Li Zhu," the Palm Seal envoy said calmly. The earthly sovereign was a person who paid attention to detail. That was why he helped him refine the 1,000-world cauldron. It couldn't deal with emperors, but it was an invincible divine weapon against experts like Huan. Boom! Heavenly Arm turned around and punched the Palm Seal envoy. The Palm Seal envoy was sent flying. The Palm Seal envoy coughed up blood, but he smiled brightly. Heavenly Arm, you and Dark are destined to die. No matter how hard you struggle, you will die. Then the Palm Seal envoy's aura became stronger and stronger. You are the people the seeds want. The Palm Seal envoy murmured, the three realms are the seeds. How can you escape? You and Dark are the few beginners in the three realms. So you must die. The Heavenly Emperor wanted to kill them. The seeds wanted to kill them. The Palm Seal envoy and the others wanted to kill them. The Palm Seal envoy was getting stronger and stronger. It wasn't because he absorbed Huan, but because he absorbed the seed's power. Boom! 3 gates were broken. The Palm Seal envoy broke 3 gates. On the other side, the underworld god was furious. You joined the seeds. Bastard, they're the ones who created the 3 realms. You are worse than a dog. In their eyes, you can be abandoned at any time. The Palm Seal envoy said calmly, that's better than dying now. Dark, look, is there any hope for the 3 realms? There's no hope. Only by killing all of you will I be able to please them and become the next human emperor. Only then will I have a chance to live and become the representative of the seeds. He couldn't care less. If he didn't succeed today, only death awaited him. He could only kill. Boom! After breaking 3 gates, the Palm Seal envoy became even stronger. He punched the heavenly arm away and looked at the trapped Huan. He smiled. Brother Huan, I'll borrow your strength to help me achieve my Tao. Huan's spiritual body was surrounded by flames and trapped in the 1,000 Worlds cauldron. Seeing the Palm Seal envoy punch the heavenly arm away, he sighed and looked up at the sky. Soon he smiled. My old friends are gone. I'm not afraid of death. I'm just afraid of hopelessness. You want to achieve your Tao and you want to survive. I don't blame you. But can you really succeed? Huan shook his head and smiled. Impossible. Palm Seal, I'll go first. I'll wait for you. Boom! Powerful mental energy exploded in the 1,000 Worlds cauldron. The 1,000 Worlds cauldron was full of holes. The Palm Seal envoy coughed up blood, but he was overjoyed. That powerful force had helped him break his Tao. And at this moment, powerful auras appeared one after another. Kill. Nether King, War King. The Palm Seal envoy seemed to know that they were lying in ambush. With a cold snort, he took the 1,000 Worlds cauldron and turned to escape. He didn't want to fight with them. He wanted to kill Huan. This powerful force was helping him forge his Tao. He would wait until he confirmed his Tao. Heaven lock. A loud roar rang out, and divine artifacts appeared one after another, sealing off the entire space. Heaven trapping bell, sky gong, flying carpet, fishing net, divine artifacts sealed the area. The Nether King and the others appeared. Li Zhen's face was cold. Kill. No one can prove their Tao today. Nether God, Heavenly Arm. Join forces and kill them. Sherpa, Huan, you want to prove your Tao, but you will die. There was no mercy. Prove your Tao and die. Rumble. The experts quickly attacked the Palm Seal envoy. The Palm Seal envoy's face turned green, and he quickly fought with them. At this moment, a sword stabbed down from above. Uft! This sword directly pierced through the Palm Seal envoy. The Palm Seal envoy also struck out with his palm. King Huai coughed up blood and crashed into the divine artifact barrier. But he smiled and said, "Thank you, Palm Seal envoy, for bestowing your Tao." As soon as he finished speaking, he once again strengthened his Tao and attacked again. The battle became more and more intense. One by one, the Heavenly King powerhouses began to fall. Dozens of beginner Heavenly Kings, more than 10 catacombs and demons, and dozens of human Heavenly Kings were all fighting in this circle sealed by the divine artifacts. They were entangled and people kept falling. Above the immortal source, blood vessels burst. The immortal source that was originally shining brightly gradually calmed down, and soon it shone brightly again. Because in the 3 realms there were still martial artists constantly stepping onto the Tao of Origin, and the number was increasing. An inexhaustible number of experts. The Catacombs continent. Wu Quishan and the others were panting, looking up at the sky, somewhat helpless, somewhat in pain. Endless. Really endless. How many powerhouses had they killed? Hundreds? Thousands? Tens of thousands? But there were still powerhouses born constantly, and they were also becoming stronger and strengthening the immortal source. If this continued, the immortal source would mature sooner or later. This kind of killing could not stop the immortal source from maturing. Is there no other way? He felt the battle in the source, saw Fong Ping's god-fiend phantom fighting continuously, but Celestial Emperor was still as stable as Mount Tai, not taken down by Fong Ping. In a while, the immortal source would mature, and everything would be too late. Is there really no other way? Wu Quishan looked at the endless martial artists around him, feeling even more sorrowful. The immortal source could not be destroyed, and it was constantly maturing. Killing could not stop the immortal source from maturing, and the human powerhouses were also constantly breaking through. If this went on, even if all the catacombs and beginner martial powerhouses were killed, the human powerhouses might still be able to mature the immortal source. Could it be that in order to stop the immortal source from maturing, even the human race had to kill the human race powerhouses?